Ignore the chat. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
ignore the chat.
Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Skyping in from the mid to late 90s, it's James Farley.
Hello.
And no Sean Bell this week. Where is Sean?
He's on holiday this week.
On holiday? Was he got
he's
abroad?
No, he's in Slough.
Was in Slough, is he?
Well, he's in Slough. He's going to Legoland. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to tell me, everyone. And he's off somewhere else. So it's nice.
Look at Sean jet setting to Slough. Yeah. Here comes Slough on the motorway. Oh, I travel, boy. We are joined instead by Leon Cox. Hi,
Hello.
Leon. How you doing?
All right, thank you. Thanks
now, for our listeners who won't know who you are one of the Cane and Rinse crew, right? It's a little podcast we've got going on over there. How's that going? Is it going well?
Yeah, just chalked up our 500 and somethingth episode.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Nah, nothing. We since I've last been on this show, we hit our 10-year milestone. So,
yeah.
Did you have a party? Did you have a party for that?
Didn't do anything really. We're as bad at promotion and stuff as you are good at it.
Yeah, but I know you're not doing any reputation for yourselves being boring, though, are you? If you're not celebrating, you say, "Should we have a party?" Nah, best not. Let's just see what we're covering this week and just do that. Come on, Leon.
It's a bit like that.
Get the streamers out, mate.
We've been planning on like doing something since we began. And we're in our 11th year.
Can't you do like a Cane and Rinse on Cane and Rinse?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Like just do.
Well, I mean, play your cards right, mate, and you might be the support act for TCGS Con South. How about that?
Oh,
hey, look at that! Look at his face. Look, he's loving
the
that.
The war I've hacked.
He is loving that. Before we continue, we must thank our Patreon producers for this month. They are Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights for Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, happy birthday Sam and Neil, Gabsy, Rocketman76, Rex Reese, happy New Year Sam, love from Neil, Grey Dragon Claw, Fred Fenge, Smooth Monkey, Don Whiskerando, friend of the show, Colin Smith, and Richard Sawyer. They went full Nels. Of what a full Nels crew they are. You too can go full Nels by going to patreon.com/TCGS. Various different tiers. If you want to watch us play a game, or try to play a game called, what was it? Donkey Favourite Funky Town. What was it?
Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Oh, Ultimate
was the
Chicken
game
Horse
we played.
Was the game we played. Which we should probably talk about what you've been playing. We haven't given you a heads up so you could get the footage, Matt. So I don't know what to do about that, but that was fun.
Let's just not mention it. Let's not mention it. Let's mention it here.
What a brilliant little game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So it was my choice this month for Le Tournoi. I desperately tried to find for ages a game that none of us have played, and ultimately really wanted like 4-player split screen.
Can we talk about how touchy you got about it, Matt? Can we talk? Do we talk? Do we go into that?
I don't remember, but you can.
Very snappy with me, didn't you? Made a little
when
joke.
Was that?
Made a little joke suggesting that you'd already played it at
right,
TCGS
yeah. Oh my God,
Con.
yeah.
You went,
yeah.
I can't fucking win. I was like, Matt, no one really cares. Come on, mate. What's going on? A bit stressed out this week.
I've been a mess for so long. I was like, yeah, just I deleted so many messages because I was going to go on one. I was like, off on it. I was like, yeah, it's not.
What, at me? Really?
Of anyone. It's just been a weird few weeks.
Oh my God, I'd love to have seen those messages. Can you send them?
It would have been the end of the group and probably the podcast.
Can we read them out on the bonus show?
No, well, no, I haven't got drafts. I've just like deleted what I was about to write, and then that was it.
What was it? Was there a fuck you, David? Was there something like that?
No, it wasn't that. I was just basically like, I'm down for do, I'm down for don't, and some F's in there.
All right, Bart Simpson.
Cowabunga, dude.
Eat my shorts. But yeah, no, there's also the £4.50 tier.
So
remember,
just on that again. So yeah, but we had some technical issues with the stream, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna like get all the footage and edit together. So there will be like a video of the multiplayer game we played, which was brilliant. It's just there was some stupid technical gremlins in there.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing a stream separately of it, aren't we?
I think we should definitely play it again.
So we'll do that
Definitely.
at some point. But yeah, if you're on the £4.50 tier, you get Marvel calls a week early, and it's a big one this week. If you're on that tier, you get to hear the first Avengers podcast. What's it called? Now, this was annoying because I always thought this was the Avengers Assemble.
Oh yeah, it is Avengers Assemble.
We've been over this. Dave, we went over this during the
Did we?
podcast. Yes, we discussed it.
I don't think we did, mate.
We did. Definitely
Have you listened
we
back
did.
to it?
Like right at the end. No, but I remember
Your
it was in my
memory's shit.
list of trivia. Then we definitely talked about it.
All right, well, we're about to find out, aren't we?
Because
in a
I know
few
we
days
talked
if
about it
you're
in the
on that tier.
group. Because in the group I was like, oh, don't you mean the event? Don't you mean? I think I said, oh, someone's written Avengers Assemble here, and you're like, I'm actually in Britain. It was different because in the US it was.
Yeah, we had a discussion about it, and I said we talked about it on the show.
All right, listen, before we get on with our feedback for the show, I'd just like to say, I'd just like to talk about these games. Fall Guys, What Remains of Edith Finch, Mario Kart 8, It Takes Two, Sega Rally Championship, Duke Nukem Forever, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Maker, all games covered by Kane and Rince recently that I wasn't asked on, which is weird.
Oh,
I don't
oh, no.
I suppose my first question to you, Leon, is what's your fucking problem?
Well, as I've said before, we plan a lot of this stuff a long way in advance, and we sort of filter through the Rolodex of likely candidates.
Some of those some of those candidates like should have a gold star next to them, don't it?
Yeah,
Money makers.
Yeah, exactly. The whales they contribute in so many ways, and sometimes it filters right down. We're shifting that pan that we've scooped up from the river.
What are you talking about? Why am I not on these shows? What is this shifting the
I mean,
pan,
look,
Rolodex, and all this bollocks?
He should have at least been on that Duke one. He loves Duke Nukem.
Yeah,
Look at him.
he loves it.
This is management speak, Leon, and I know you hate that.
Yeah, it's true. We could have. I can't remember how many. So we always have a panel between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get a late dropout, but I didn't. I forgot to call you. Sometimes.
Well, I mean, all I'm
very
saying is that
diplomatic.
it's just embarrassing for Kane and Rince more than anything. I don't mind.
Farley's been on more recently than you.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit if I'm on, to be quite honest.
Farley's always on.
I'm that sort of guy. I don't really care. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not after the fame. I'm not after the accolades.
You won't get it.
Doesn't need it, baby.
We're still waiting for Matt. Basically, we're waiting for Matt to complete a game so we can have him on once.
Wait,
and
you've seen a few endings on YouTube, doesn't that count?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw Night in the Woods, I was like, well, surely I'll get the call now. It's like, wow, okay. It had a really complicated ending, but I could have explained it very well, Leon. I'm not sure.
What did you say
frame
on the
by
show?
frame.
It was very confusing.
I said no. I think I said, look, I don't want to spoil it for everyone listening, but let me just say, it was a really incredible ending, and I
we treat our listeners a bit better than that. So
how dare you?
Do you? Do you? How?
Leon, when are you going to do a series?
I'm sorry. You don't treat your listeners better by not having me on. That would be them well.
I meant we finish the games and don't lie to them.
Oh, that's fair. No, that's
that
fair
happened
enough,
once
actually. Yeah,
or twice. When are you going to do a podcast, Leon, on The Room?
What?
What do you mean? What?
Or alternatively, have you yet?
Yeah, I'm afraid we have.
Of course.
But yes, it did cross my mind. Did anyone see that video mashup of Detroit with Naked Gun? Yeah,
I've not seen that.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible.
Okay.
Well, very well done. They've even animated the little thing on his head. He's even got the little, it's good stuff.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to
You're welcome, and thank you for not joining us.
It's good to give the little guys a bit of a platform.
Yeah.
Let them get discovered by a real audience. Right, Matt. Speaking of the real audience, can we have their feedback, please? They all loved it last week, guys.
Yes, absolutely. So Don Riscarando, dear sirs, spurred on by David. Well, is that not like an accent thing? I say Rando, you say Rando.
Hold on, you pulled me up on that several times.
No, I was the only one to say, is it not just...
Okay, I'm going to get the clip where you had a go at me for that. But
yeah, good. Well, get the clip, David.
I'll get the clip then, Matt.
You get it.
I'll get
wait.
that clip.
I'll wait, go on.
I prefer Matt's pronunciation of it. I think it sounds better.
Pronunciation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go on then.
I say pronounce. Anyway, Don Riscarando. Dear says, spurred on by David's enthusiasm for Power Wash Simulator, I completed it myself this week, and I've encountered the same bug as John Denton. The subway level refused to complete 100%, and upon reloading, reset all of my progress. What is most galling is that this bastard of a game knows what it has done. During the ending montage, I could clearly see the subway getting completed, then resetting and cleaned again. Oh, wow. I can only assume that this is deliberate on the part of the devs, and yet another reason why this must be Game of the Year. I'm looking forward to the inevitable sequel or Star Wars DLC.
That's amazing. Don Whiskerando, can you please get that, like, clip that and post it to us? I want to see that. I want to see you clean it and then it resets and you clean it again. Like that, I've got to see that. So if you could just hit watch the time lapse thing and then hit the share button and send us that video, because I need to see that. That's amazing. Yeah, what a fucking ball ache that is. But I'm with you, James. Actually, if I was John, I think I would have to go back and do that level again. I'd just have to get it done. I know. There's that risk of what happens again.
It would bug me. It would bug
really
me.
would.
That would. Like, just knowing that it's there.
Yeah.
So you didn't ask me for my notes, having not been on the last 2 weeks, but that's
I
fine.
apologise, Matt. I didn't even remember. I totally forgot you weren't on the show last week.
No, just don't care. But I mean, obviously, both shows are brilliant. The first show I had I was going to mention like the whole Stray thing, but I don't want to go into that anymore. The second podcast, my note was
wait. What did you want to mention?
It's not worth going.
We're not going to go into it. I just want to know what you were going to say.
It's just so 2 podcasts ago when I wasn't here, James was. I think it was James, Sarah, Sean,
that's right,
and Sean. And James said something about there being there wasn't any instant fail modes, and I kind of think that if you get shot by the gun as a cat, it is basically instant fail. Yes, you can kind of run away, but it basically is essentially you've been seen, you're dead, start again. But
because if you remember the week before, you said, so you didn't get hit by the taser thing, then, James, and he went, no. I went, really? Well, once or twice. It's what we've discovered recently. James is a fucking liar, and that's the whole world's finding that out now.
Yeah, finally. And my only note from the second one was, it's a John Denton thing. Like, hey, how can you put 50 hours into a game and then just because there's a bug, you're not going to do another 3 hours? I would just go straight on, or maybe not straight into it. Maybe I'll give it a night.
Has James Farley's camera frozen, or is he really that mad? I'm trying to work out.
It's hard to say. No, he's alive. He's alive.
Right, he's alive. That's good.
He's alive.
You right there, James?
I refuse to discuss the matter.
Okay.
Go on.
It's been discussed.
Yeah, it's been discussed. No more discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how he's done. When I heard his story, I was like, that would probably be me. Turn it off, have done with it. But no, there's no way I could leave it like that. I would have to redo that last level. There's no way I could go.
50 hours into a game, just do that again. But don't rush through it.
Don't rush through it. Maybe get a mate in to help you. I'd have helped him in that final level.
Just enjoy it, mate.
How about you, Leon? Would you have left that? What's the deal?
Yeah, if I'd come that far. I did play a couple of levels of Power Wash before I uninstalled it because I could see where it was heading.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too compelling, isn't it? It's just. I watched you playing it, in fact, for longer than I played it, I think.
Yeah.
On a stream, and it's just waiting for the ding. And I was enjoying watching you playing it almost as much as I was enjoying playing it myself. But I had this weird thing with it because I hate it when people say, oh, this game is pointless or that game is pointless, because no game is more or less pointless than any other, right? They're all ultimately either they've got a point because you're enjoying them, or they have no point because they're not real, right?
Yeah.
So to say that one game has got less of a point than another, I think is reductive. But I did find myself thinking, I was showing it to my girlfriend who, do you remember the character in WALL-E that's called Mo? The little cleaning robot.
Yeah.
So I've always called her Mo because she is obsessive about floor cleaning,
right,
and stuff like that. So this was a rare occasion where, when I installed this, when it came out on Game Pass, I actually said, "Come, I think I've found your game," and actually, showed her this Power Wash Simulator.
Punch in the face.
Well, you know, and I realized as I was sitting there that like I wasn't doing any chores, and I was just like sitting there showing, look, here's me power washing a pretend car, and actually I realized like the litter tray needed cleaning in real life and stuff like that, and so I kind of I think that's when I thought,
imagine doing that with a power washer though, just like, and then all the gravel and shit.
It could do with it. It could do with it.
Surely that game is crying out for like a level editor to make your own.
I think there's just going to be a dump of new levels, and it's going to kill me because I'm going to have to do it.
The Star Wars DLC idea from your Don Whiskerando sounds good.
Oh god, honestly, the DLC stuff, I really, really hope they go down the license route. Because honestly, the Only Fools and Horses one, I mean, I would play that instantly. Just washing that fucking van.
Ghostbusters, Hearse.
Ghostbusters. What else? Just I don't know, fucking the Goonies. Clean the fucking cave and the ship.
Pirate ship.
Yeah, clean Sloth while he's going, oh, baby Root, and you fucking spraying him in the face. Love it. How good would that be? Come on, get involved.
Yeah, I mean, the last level being like the Millennium Falcon, and it taking 10 times as long as the last level in the main game.
Do you know what I pray for? Right, I pray that the developers, they get all these licenses, and every E3 they announce a new one they show like the opening level of GoldenEye. And it comes up on a Microsoft stage, the opening level of GoldenEye, with the music and all this.
Now clean it.
And then it just comes to Power Wash Sim, like a Nintendo do with Smash Bros.
I was just going to say, I would love to see iconic video game locations in Power Wash Simulator, like the Resident Evil Mansion, or just do the whole thing.
I did just do the whole bait and switch thing that
they could do like a Half-Life 3 style like environment. You're like, oh my god! I was
like, come on, you're right, James.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah,
I think he's still angry about the liar comment. I don't know. It's weird. I don't like having the cameras on. Because I can see his face and his disappointment. It's scaring me.
Okay, we're going to move on to... so Dean messaged us last week with a song that he had in his head.
Oh, that's right.
He couldn't work out what it was. I'm going to play the video again, and so we can hear. We've got some suggestions, and I think we've got some winners. But here's what Dean said anyway.
Please. I've got a tune stuck in my head, and it goes something like... I don't know how the rest of it goes, but it's something like that. And I think it's from a game, and I don't know what game, and it could be Mario, but I haven't played Mario in a long time, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we got an idea. So, right, the first suggestion was Amused Frog, and they've suggested this. It's not this, but they suggested the Super Mario 3 castle theme.
Nah, that's not it.
It's not. And I knew it wasn't because the next 3 messages all had the same answer.
Really?
Yes, so it must be this, but it's a weird one. So Colin, just to chip in regarding the song stuck in Dean's head, it's not from a game I know of, but it is the hold music for a third-party company I have to regularly contact through my job. P.S. I was actually listening to the show whilst I was on hold with the company, which made me feel a little bit weird as I was part of something bigger than myself and almost felt like I discovered a secret truth to the universe. Keep up the good work, gang. Then Cameron, American listener here, in response to listener Dean's request to identify a song from a video game soundtrack in episode 314, that tune is definitely music that I've heard while on hold on the phone. I've heard it multiple times from a few different companies, but I can't recall which ones exactly. Love the show, keep it up. Daz Brown. No doubt this is 100th bit of feedback regarding Dean's tune, but the moment he started his interpretation, a chill went down my spine. It's the default/generic hold music used by many businesses. I hear it multiple times a day and I fucking hate it. I could do my own edition of the whole thing if it didn't make me want to hit things. So I can't believe that we had 3 people who had the same answer.
Have we found the hold music though?
I went on YouTube today. I was like, I mean, what do I search for? Hold music. I listen. I skip for a couple of there's things like an hour of hold music. And I was like, where do I even begin? But if anyone listening recognises that hold music, and obviously these 3, Colin, Cameron, and Daz Brown did, and if you know it or can record it, please send it in.
Send it over to us. We need to hear that hold music.
Yeah, just Just play it, Shazam it. That's what it is. And then,
Shazam it. Shazam it. James Farley with Shazam. Still got Shazam on his phone. He's loving it.
Play it, Shazam it. So yeah, I can't believe the fact that Free People recognised it in its whole music. That's amazing.
We need to find that music. We need to find it. We'll try and find it for next week. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Brad from Iowa. I just wanted to say it was wonderful to hear John Denton's voice on the pod again. When I first started listening to the show, he was one of the regular hosts, and I don't think I've heard his voice since he left and Sean returned. His story about his power washing sim save was hilarious, and his little joke about James taking 6 months to put up his curtain made it feel like he never left. And I appreciate you, and I'm loving Marvel calls. Keep it up, Brad from Iowa.
Yeah, I love a bit of Johnny D. I went to see him. It was his birthday weekend this weekend, and we went. I went down to Bournemouth. We went and watched the AJ fight in a sports bar in Bournemouth. That was an experience. I mean, it feels like everyone. It's the first time it's the first time I've been in a place like that since the pandemic, right? I suppose I went to I did go to a stag do at the start of the year, but we were in this place and it was like everyone was like way younger than I thought was allowed in a place. There was a guy walking around in a t-shirt. That's the end of the sentence. There was a guy walking around in just a t-shirt. He had no trousers on, no
fashion,
pants
mate.
on,
Look it up.
just walking around with his arse and cock and balls out.
How is that allowed?
I don't. Sorry about that. Yeah, James is in town. I don't know. Like everyone around us was going, "How has he not been arrested? Like, how is this
Right,
not
if he's not touching himself.
It wasn't.
Or
well,
aroused.
I don't know if he was touching himself or aroused, but
Was it hot?
Nudity's not a crime.
mate, honestly, in this bar, it was ridiculously hot. Apart from this is what was great, right? So John pre-booked a private area like ages ago, like as soon as the fight was announced.
He
Right?
got one of those, all right.
And we were in this little curtained off bit. He had aircon, full on aircon, massive screens. It was perfect to watch the boxing in, right? You went outside and it was a sweatbox. It was horrible in there, so rammed and people just shouting and screaming. There was football chants going on from different sides of the pubs, all sorts, right? But anyway, in our little corner bit with a curtain, every now and then a few people just walked into like our little space. I was like, oh, it's aircon in here. This is nice. Oh, you're all right. Started talking to us. And we were like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with this. So I found a velvet rope and I just put it over the entrance. Not a single person went past that. It doesn't matter how drunk you are.
The power.
You don't go past the velvet
Take one
rope.
with you wherever you go. That's the message.
I think that's the idea. From now on, I'm just going to carry a velvet rope around from it's just like on a train. Just like put it up. Just, you can't. It's sorry.
Entourage Dave.
I could do about it. Yeah, I think I'm done with going to bars and that. I don't like it.
But no, I don't think that's fair. Not every bar has some of his cock and balls out.
You sure? Have you been to every bar, Matt?
What? Oh no, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one who has
Usually you.
the
With your
You're the
backpack
one
on.
with cock and
I
balls
think
out.
if I recall
backpack,
correctly.
cock and
Dick
balls
out,
out.
yeah. Yeah, but John's
lot.
doing very well, and he's keen to come back on the show. He'll be on the show in the future.
Oh, is he
for
doing
sure.
well? Is he? I haven't
Yeah,
heard
he's
of him,
doing well.
mate.
He's doing well. You not heard of him?
What does he do these days? Probably just what's he doing?
YouTuber, mate.
Point. Oh, is he?
YouTuber.
On YouTube.com.
Yeah, he earned that velvet rope.
Oh, it was actually his.
I just put it up. All right, go on then.
Okay, Frank Fontaine. James talking about the different fonts and their cultural impact in episode 314 is the most dad response to a question I've heard in a while. Also, Cliffy B messaged, Farley is a font shagger.
I mean, I'm proud of that.
You're proud of
nothing
shagging
wrong
fonts?
with thinking. There is nothing wrong with thinking fonts are interesting at all.
Are you
right.
getting a friend of mine who's into this stuff is very specific about the difference between fonts and typefaces, so make sure you're getting that distinction correct.
Well, this was fonts because this was it described them as fonts specifically. So
Right, okay, but they called themselves typewriter and not font rider.
If
Didn't
only
pun
that
as well.
That was okay. I think this person and James should do a one-on-one interview about James's love for them and then actually getting it wrong and then they embrace at the end.
Yeah.
About Garamond. It's you know.
Do you know? I genuinely thought, Leon, you were going to say it. See, I've got a friend that's into this stuff, and he has been arrested.
Yeah.
He's waiting to be
Haven't seen
sentenced
for a
at the
long time.
moment, and rightly so.
Tree.
I'm on the law's side
Yeah,
on this.
25 years. That's fingers for the best. Get this filth off our streets. That is it for feedback. Go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS.
James, I know you've not wanted to get involved in the show so far tonight, but you got to now.
That is completely not fair.
Because it's the
That's
news.
like totally not fair.
It's the news.
It's
James.
I'm letting it flow,
yeah.
Dave. Like I'm just letting you enjoy your banter. You're showing off because you got a guest on and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just letting you go with it.
It is true. I'm showing off a little bit.
Yeah.
I like showing off. Isn't that part of the fun?
Amen, brother. Amen.
James, have you ever shown off?
I don't know, actually.
I bet you fucking have.
Yes, of course he has. The one time he was in class doing that.
Yeah,
Doing
there's
the
a time he did T-pose in the class. But I bet at some point you've gone, okay, Mr. James Farley, Dr. James Farley, actually. I bet you've done that at least once.
Never done that.
Once. Dr.
Never
James
done that.
Farley, excuse me, sir, Doctor. Yeah.
I mean,
Not
I
a medical
show off
doctor.
in front of Chen all the time, but it just annoys her.
What do
but
you
that's
do
why
to
I
show
do
off?
it.
What
of Chen.
does that mean to show off in front of Chen?
Yeah.
Just.
No,
No,
you
you've got to
know,
tell
you've
us
got an
this now. You've got to
example.
tell
You
us
have got an
about something.
example. You know exactly what it is. Go on.
No, just saying stupid stuff.
Go on.
Just say all the time.
Such as?
I'm not telling you, it's ridiculous.
No, James, you can't laugh. Clearly,
He
have an
shows off
answer.
Matt, he shows off in the WhatsApp group. Have you noticed that? Like if we're talking
What's
about
that?
something, so well, actually in China, blah 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 blah. Blah. Oh, there is all the stuff I know about China. Oh, well done,
How's
James.
that showing off? That's
It's
providing you with
showing
context.
off. I've got a PhD. It's the equivalent of saying I am a doctor. It's the equivalent of saying that. You know that. Come on,
Anyway.
James. How do you show off in front of Chen? We're not letting this drop.
I'm not telling you. Seriously, it's ridiculous. I can't even remember. It's just like all sorts of stuff. It's just.
Does it involve a
just
tape
say
measure?
It's like the guy in the bar.
Leon, do you show off? Have you ever shown off?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I am I'm a bit of a show off. Probably less so than when I was younger. I was always trying to get the table to laugh at some joke or whatever. But I think I've calmed down a bit as I've got older.
Have you ever dropped the podcast to try and show off before? Have you ever turned around and gone, no? Look at me. Look at me
God,
fly.
no.
Have you not?
No, I mean, that normally you still get, I don't know about you, I mean, less so in the last maybe 5 years, but sometimes you still get, when you say, oh yeah, I do a podcast, when people ask what you do, how you spend your time, you still get people go, what? I don't really know what a podcast is. I think that's happening less now because they've become so kind of mainstream. But for the first 7 or 8 years of podcasting, it was always like, I would say it through kind of like, a bit apologetically.
I'd have a t-shirt with it on.
Yeah,
Fucking podcast famous boy is what I've got on mine.
I'm still waiting for the moment that I remember you had a long time ago where you were on a plane with someone and they were listening to your show. I've still not had that. We had a listener arranged to meet up with a drink with me and some of my friends in Lewis. That's about as close as a kind of I know who you are kind of moment that I've ever had. So we're just not big enough for that kind of level of recognition. So it's not.
Well, there's so many of you. It's like you know who the Blazing Squad is, but you don't know the individual.
We are
members
very
of
much the Blazing Squad of podcasts.
My favourite is when it's the spotting that Matt gets. Like Matt doesn't get spotted out in public. He just gets a tweet later saying, "I saw you in a shop, Matt."
I was going to say,
I've had a few of those.
So I was away at Centre Parks last week, and I got spotted. I was outside Starbucks, and I saw tweets, and I just seen Matt walking out of Starbucks, and I'm like, well, I know I'm just like generic white man with beard. And I actually bumped into that dude again later. He saw me in like the changing rooms of the swimming pool. So it's okay. Everyone had their clothes on at that point.
That is stalking.
But yeah, I was like, oh, amazing. So yeah,
amazing. You've actively said, "Don't come up to me."
It was Babblefish, by the way. I did say Babblefish, don't look in my eyes. But no, yeah. He said I should listen to the podcast here. I was like, well, I wasn't on this week, so I'm sure it was a great episode. And he agreed. So that's a bit. But yeah, I've been spotted like 3 or 4 times now. It's ridiculous. Just with this face. Unbelievable.
Oh, right. Okay. Should we get some news, James?
Yeah. Do you want some breaking news from 5 minutes ago?
I mean,
on.
they're going to fuck up the layout, but yeah, sure.
Oh.
On. Go on.
Well, is the
maybe
breaking
it
news
won't.
that
Maybe it
United have
won't.
gone 2-0 up against Liverpool?
That's exactly what I was
Fucking hell.
about to say. Yeah.
Really? Was it really?
Rashford ends a run of 997 minutes without a goal.
Jesus
I bet
Christ,
if Garrity
look,
would have
they're
watched
back.
and take over to
They're
the 1,000.
back.
2-0. This is unbelievable. Everyone's expecting like a 5-0 Liverpool win. Sorry.
Go on.
Okay, the first news story is that, I mean, this follows on from last week, because we talked about this a bit last week with Nintendo of America, who, they're having some problems at the moment, and there's basically been more has come out now. Kotaku has a report that details what's happened to a tester called Hannah. I mean, it's not her real name, and it's kind of awful and depressing stuff, and I'm not going to repeat all the details, but you can read about it on Kotaku, like here. But it does detail that how like 20% of advertised work for Nintendo of America is like contract work, and that women are really underrepresented, with only 10% of the contractors are women, and only 23.7% of managers are women in like the whole of Nintendo, like sort of globally, which is a crazy number. And also they talk about pay disparities as well that there are. But also Hannah said that she made a report to the agency that she was working through, that was called Aerotech, but they've changed their name now. And she was told after she made this report, they said that she ought to be less outspoken, about things, which is just mad. And I mean, Kotaku have also spoken to like a number of people who have worked at Nintendo in the past decade, who said that like sexism was common within the company and within the sort of corporate culture of the company, and queer women have experienced sort of an extra layer of unwelcome behaviour as well. Like she had a backup coordinator who hit on her, and then when she revealed her sexuality, he just said, "Oh, you're a lesbian. That's kind of sad." And this sort of stuff is sort of going on quite a lot. There's also this sort of really big power imbalance between contract workers and what are called red badges, and these are the people who are like permanent employees. And there's this kind of thing where the people who are contractors are kind of have to be nice to the red badges because they're hoping that then that's gonna maybe further their career or whatever. Like I don't mean like that way, but in just like spending time with them and things like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Nintendo. So Doug Bowser has already acknowledged that there is a problem with this, and he says that Nintendo has a zero tolerance for inappropriate conduct, including harassment, discrimination, or intimidation. And so Kotaku have asked them how they're achieving this, but they haven't received any answer yet about what's going on. But it's, I mean, we know that there's cases that are being brought as well. So I guess we'll see how this pans out over the next.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's about the response. I mean, there's going to be dickheads in every workforce, and whether the management is to blame or not is another thing. But what the management and the company are in charge of is responding to these sort of allegations. So let's see what comes of this. The worst possible outcome is going down the Ubisoft route, who we continuously bring up on this podcast because, yet again, it's gone quiet on their front.
But the managers aren't just responsible for the response; they're responsible for creating a safe, welcoming workplace. Before any of these like kind of things happen and come to light.
For sure,
it's their job to you can't kind of as you said, there are wankers and horrible people everywhere. You kind of can't change that. What we can change is getting rid of them and making sure the right policies and procedures are in place to stop these people and get them out and to help the people affected with anything if and when that stuff does happen. Yeah,
and they need to get to that as soon as possible, really, because these reports come out constantly. I mean, they have been over the past 4 years, and in a way that's good because now people are feeling that they can speak out. But in a way, it's bad because it's showing, just how much work there is to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but it's definitely good that people feel like empowered. They can finally tell their stories and hopefully.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It is good. That is good. But then it also sucks that they can't do that within their own company, and for there to be improvements made and for things in place to deal with the people that are at the center of the abuse, or
that's why this kind of reporting is so important, because this kind of reporting that's actually going to be the thing that hopefully moves the needle. And although we can look in organizations like Ubisoft and others and say, well, nothing's really changed or what's really happening, some people in these businesses will be trying to make positive changes, of course. It's just that it's hard from the outside view to see what's happening, but thank God for this kind of reporting.
Yeah, but we
bringing
know
it
for
out to
Ubisoft that not enough's doing, because there's reports like a year later, nothing's changed.
Yeah,
You've had that support group that's come out and said that none of their demands have been met.
You got Activision as well, who's got that stuff hasn't really seemed to have improved there much. I mean, I really would recommend reading this report, because it's especially, I mean, the way it details the significant problems there seem to be with like sort of power imbalances in Nintendo of America as well. It's quite it's worth reading, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The next story is that Embracer have acquired everybody. Well, no, they went on a spree, didn't they? Where they
Who's Embracer? I've never heard of Embracer.
What you say this every time?
I've never heard of Embracer.
We've talked about them in multiple stories where they keep buying people.
Do we?
Yes, and every time we're like, I never heard these people.
What else have they? What else have they?
Well,
bought
they
recently?
bought loads of companies. I mean, they had like a presentation the other week, which was okay. I mean, I don't think it was that interesting. They just showed like tons of real-time strategy games and stuff, and it wasn't that great. But they have acquired lots and lots and lots of companies at the moment, and the big deal with this week is that they've acquired Middle-earth Enterprises, which is like the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit stuff, and they kind of own that now. And they bought that, and they've
to do
also
what?
bought,
Like, what are they doing? What,
Unlimited.
they're going to do a new series, or what? What's the?
Well, do you want to hear the quote about what they're going to do?
Go on.
I'm sure you do.
Please.
So they said that this acquisition is in line with what they're calling their IP-driven transmedia strategy.
Oh,
and
fuck
so
off.
their idea is they go, no, I'm not finished yet. They expressed interest in additional movies based on iconic characters such as Gandalf, Aragorn, Gollum, Galadriel, Eowyn, and other characters from the literary works of J.R.R. Tolkien, and could provide new opportunities for fans to explore this fictive world through merchandising and other experiences.
Through merchandising. I want to explore the worlds that I love through T-shirts. That's what I want to do. That's my main priority.
tcgs.co/store, by the way.
Oh yeah, please buy your merch. It all goes to.
So far, they've spent $576 million dollars on buying companies at the moment, and they've
I don't know if you've covered it before, but of course the key thing that makes them controversial is that they've had a massive Saudi Arabian investment.
Yes, yeah. They have, they got. Yeah, there's a lot of that money going in as well, and
that 576 million is just for these 5 acquisitions plus one more. That's not all ones that they've bought in recent years.
And the other one, there's one that's remaining unannounced as well so far. Like they keep teasing that there's another one that's that they're buying, but no one knows what it is yet.
Yeah, what would mean that they couldn't announce this with all the others? That's what I'm interested in.
Maybe they're waiting for Gamescom. Maybe it will get announced there.
Maybe what's happening tomorrow. So not far.
Okay.
So who else they bought? They've bought Limited Run, who are like a publisher.
Syntrix as well. I've not heard of them, but apparently they're karaoke company or something.
Hey, a bit of karaoke, boy.
But yeah, I mean,
they get their Eye of the Tiger on their lid.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean,
James, get on that stage, boy.
They bought a Man-Eater developer, Tripwire Interactive, publisher. They bought loads of stuff.
Koch,
they bought publisher.
Gearbox.
Yeah, they own Gearbox as well.
Yeah,
Saber.
Rockstar.
Imagine that. Imagine owning Randy
Rockstar.
Pitchford.
Like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah. It's Get him to do
Randy
magic tricks
shit
for
again.
you.
He said something stupid again.
Yeah, but no, I mean they've been buying stuff for years. They've got more IPs than anything else. When are we going to see them kind of transform from this IP owner to a company as big as say Activision or whatever? I mean, they've got so much now behind them. I mean, when are they going to start to actually kind of properly deliver on all the IPs they've got? Like they own the Time Splitters IP. I'm fairly sure.
Wait, fairly sure? Are you sure?
Well, I think James was out announcing a previous news story a long time ago.
You're on your own here, Matt. I have no idea.
Well, you're the news story.
I know, but I'm not just making things up.
You're the news
God,
story. Did you just call James the news story?
Yeah. So, but basically, they own the Time Splitters IP as well.
Right, okay, Matt is now in the middle of a lake in a little boat paddling away, not knowing where he should go. and shouting, "James, you're the news story."
You are the news story, man.
Right, okay,
I mean,
James.
The next announcement that's going to come out is going to be all of these brands' NFTs, isn't it, or something like that? That's going to be how they're going to do something with them. It's been horrible. Anyway, the next story is that Sony are being sued for £5 billion for ripping people off on the PlayStation Store. So what this is a legal claim that is being made by this guy who was the managing director of Witch Light magazine or whatever, and his name's Alex Neil. And he's filed this with the Competition Appeal Tribunal last week. So this is all about the 30% commission on digital games and in-game purchases, right? So he's saying that Sony are in breach of competition law. And so the legal action is saying that customers have been overcharged by as much as $5 billion. So anyone in the UK who has
I didn't know the games have gone up that much. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. First party titles aren't cheap.
So anyone in the UK who has purchased stuff on the store since 19th of August could get money back if this wins or whatever.
Let's go.
It won't win, though, will it?
It's not going to. So do you want to hear his quote though? Because
the quote is incredible.
The quote is brilliant. It's this is why I think he chose Sony for this. So I got here. The game is up for the Sony PlayStation. With this legal action, I am standing up for the millions of UK people who have been unwittingly overcharged.
Can I just say, right? I put an image in your mind while you're reading this. I'm imagining one of those American-style public access TV adverts where there's a guy behind a desk and it cuts at the end of every line to a different camera and it's all a bit out of focus and he's like the really bad chroma key around him. Right, so say that. Say that again from the start.
The game is up for the Sony PlayStation. With this legal action, I am standing up for millions of UK people who have been unwittingly overcharged. We believe Sony has abused its position and ripped off its customers. Gaming is now the biggest entertainment industry in the UK, ahead of TV, video and music, and many other vulnerable people rely on gaming for community and connection. The actions of Sony is costing millions of people who can't afford it, particularly we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis, and the consumer purse is being squeezed like never before. So that's his. That's the.
We're
quote.
getting abused in the chat. Alex Neil is a female. Damn it, is what Moomin Biscuit is saying. So we should correct ourselves there. Apologies for that. Go on then. So I mean,
why just Sony? Because all companies are doing this. They've all got the 30% cut. Why just Sony?
Do they?
Yeah, of course they do.
What do you mean? Of course they do. I don't know that.
It's like an industry standard. It's like Apple
Microsoft
do it,
do,
Android do it,
Steam
Right. Okay.
Microsoft do it.
Epic's is like 18%, right? And that's the difference.
Yeah.
Are you saying Alex Neil is a Xbox fan girl? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that she chose this because she wanted to say the game is up for the Sony PlayStation.
Yeah, but she could have said the game is up for the Microsoft
I mean,
Xbox.
she wouldn't have done
It makes
this.
no difference.
Yeah, she wouldn't have done this unless she thought there was a legitimate reason. Like, why waste your time and you would assume a lot of money doing this when it's just going to,
It's going to lose.
blow up. But yeah, but she must have. You must have seen there must be something for her to think. There's a case here. You don't become like the managing director like a Witch, or she says here she's like chief executive of Resolver by decide, oh yeah, on a whim I'll just sue PlayStation. She's obviously got a lot of legal advice, and they say, well, you've probably got a case here.
I don't think so though, because I mean, Epic couldn't beat Apple in court over this. What does she think she can do it?
Listen, Matt. She may have looked into all of this, but James doesn't think so.
Good point.
I don't think.
I didn't think about that.
This is just to grab
James is a
headlines.
doctor.
This is just to grab headlines.
I don't think she gives a fuck about headlines on Eurogamer, James. I mean, she's got better things to do than waste time. I'm in a headline.
Case, why just Sony? I don't understand.
Well, then again, I haven't read all the legal documentation, but you've got to assume there's something somewhere that makes her think, well, this is a reason to go for Sony, not other people, for these reasons.
So you're saying it's impossible that this is a frivolous case, right?
I'm not saying it's impossible, but why waste your time and money?
I don't know. People do this sort of thing all the time.
Well, no, I think you do know, James. You say it's to get the quote out there.
It was to get the game is up for the Sony PlayStation out there.
Well done, Alex. You got onto Eurogamer. Well done.
Yeah,
that's what James is saying.
That's why she did it. Definitely. I'm interested in this. We'll see what happens. I mean, it'll probably go nowhere, but interesting.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to my. Says here, estimated damages could be between 67 and 562 pounds per claimant, excluding interest. So, hello.
Yeah.
That's Christmas
Nice bit of
sorted.
bunts on that.
Yeah, hello. Excluding interest, Dave. Do the maths.
Okay, sorry. Well, go on.
Okay, next story is that the UK national grid is apparently going to plan it so that you get cheaper energy if you avoid peak time use.
Well, this
How's
podcast is fucked.
Has this made it into the fucking... What?
No, the reason this has made it into the news is because they're talking about this being for video game consoles as being a particular problem.
What do you mean?
Okay, so the UK Energy Saving Trust claims that consumer electronics, such as like games consoles, account for around 6% of energy bills. And so people should be switching them off and shouldn't be using them so much. So the idea is that between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. each evening, you don't use them so much.
6%?
Yeah.
Well, what was the other 94? I'll switch off the other 94 then.
Okay. You can switch off your fridge.
The 6%, I'll deal with that. If my energy bill was 6% of what it is now, good. And I still get to download all my stuff and the games update and everything. And I still get to play games. Yeah, fine. I'll turn the other 94% off. I don't need light. I don't need... What else do I use energy for?
The fridge.
Fuck the fridge, man.
Charging your mobile phone.
I'll just rack up the old... the mobile phone is quite an important one.
Ooh.
Maybe I can get one of those winder things. You know those winder things?
Yeah, I know
the ones where you sit there and I'll do it on that.
Just get loads of burner phones. So, like, you know...
you only need to charge them once and you dash them out.
Good point. National grid up yours.
Yeah.
That's really going to fuck this podcast. So that's fun. I mean,
well, we're all going to have to turn off our ring lights because I don't know if I'm prepared to do that at this point.
It's fine. It's between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. We record after 8:30. It's fine.
Good point. We're back in the game. Also, I don't play games genuine until after 10. So up yours, National Grid. Got yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you, National Grid.
Okay, but we're going blackout. We're going blackouts anyway, aren't we? Apparently, so this is the least of our worries.
Oh, I heard about that there's going to be there's going to be no electricity time, and like what is going on?
Why are we discussing it on this
show?
So
mad. This whole thing is so. Leon, what are you doing? Are you going to turn your consoles off, or you
might leave the country? Increasingly appealing. Yeah. If only the football wasn't going so well, I'd be out of here.
That's kind of what's keeping me here in London at the very least. I just want to go to the football every now and then. I can't do that from ages away, can I? It's a shame. Right, okay.
Last story is that apparently EA have scored an own goal with FIFA 23
last story.
pricing.
I thought are we not doing Ubisoft story now? Is that gone?
No, it's boring. I cut it. It's boring.
just didn't tell me.
Just didn't tell the man that's actually controlling the
removed it from the doc, Matt. So it's fine.
Okay, come on. EA scores an own goal.
Yeah, so they scored an own goal on FIFA 23 pricing. So what was that they listed the most recent FIFA on the Epic Games Store in India for 4.80 rupees, which is about 5p here in the UK. And this was also the Ultimate Edition as well of the game. But EA said that they will honour the price. And I mean, do you want to hear the quote? What they said?
the quote is "fuck."
The quote is, "We scored a pretty spectacular own goal when we inadvertently offered FIFA 23 pre-purchase on the Epic Games Store at an incorrect price. It was our mistake, and we wanted to let you know that we'll be honouring all pre-purchases made at that price." There you go.
I mean,
so
good on them for honouring it because most stores don't.
The cynical head-on. James would love this. How many do you reckon sold at that price?
Very few.
Right. How much headlines did they get from this story?
Quite a lot.
Great advertising.
There's new FIFA 23 coming out, is there? Yeah. I mean,
the last ever FIFA.
Yeah, it's going to fly off the shelves.
I'd do that. If I'm being cynical, that is an absolute genius move there.
Oh yeah, it's a slam dunk. Why wouldn't you? But it's good because like EA. They need any help they can getting the name of this game out there. So
it's next year. I mean, honestly, I'm absolutely fascinated to find out what this fucking game is going to be like this year, because I've got a feeling that they're going to do nothing to it.
Oh,
because
yeah, definitely.
all the effort
Absolutely.
is going into EA FC next year.
This will be the most. I mean, they say about this new kind of like animation system and stuff, but they say it most years they've probably used an old one which we've forgotten the name of, and they're like, oh, this one again. Oh, is that new? It's not new, but this is going to be the most about just changing the kits, changing the team rosters, and because they could put on the work into EA Sports FC, aren't they, for next year?
I'm fascinated to see what that's going to be, like EA Sports FC. Whether they're going to do anything like totally crazy.
It would be FIFA with a different. They've rebadged it. You fool.
FIFA.
Whether they keep saying that there's loads of things they wanted to do but they couldn't because of FIFA. I'm sure that's all a load of rubbish, right?
Yeah, that's a load of bollocks.
But it would be quite funny if they really completely break it.
Imagine if you could hit the ref, or you could
the fans
could run on
style.
the pitch. The fans could run on the pitch. All of that stuff. That'd be good.
Back in the late 90s, FIFA had a kind of major serious foul command, as I recall.
That's
where
right.
you could just go around, like in Mario Strikers, where you can kind of kick people in the face to get the ball off them. It was like that. It was brilliant.
What I also love about old FIFA, I'm fairly sure old FIFA's not ISS Pro, but you could change the leniency of the ref. They wouldn't do it these days because it would go against, PGML.
Well, they could do it now.
Stuff.
They can do it. That's what
they can,
There used to be a dive button in FIFA games. Remember that?
Yeah.
You used to be able to dive in FIFA, and sometimes you could
run away from the referee as well.
You know what's really funny is that, me and all my mates, we get excited for the first few weeks of FIFA coming out because we want to play pro clubs, right? It's a good laugh. We hate it. We know it's a terrible game, but it's a good laugh when we all get together and we play pro clubs. They released a video of, look at all the stuff we're doing to pro clubs this season. And I watched it. I didn't understand half of it. And the stuff that I did understand, it was and then you could just move your character over to Volta. Who plays Volta?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it's more. I think it's more that they've merged them. So I got an impression actually it was to get Volta players and their progress over to Ultimate Team.
No, I don't think there are Volta players, Matt. That's what I'm saying. I definitely think it was to get pro club players to go over to Volta.
They must be sick about that.
You're not getting a full fucking 10 men. Look, you could play a smaller version of the game here. You know what I mean? It's
14 years. People were going. Do you remember Road to the World Cup '98 with the indoor mode? We loved that. We loved the indoor mode. So they brought it back, and everyone was like, "Oh, thanks."
Volta was not a good game mode from what I played, but
I literally haven't played it. I still play career mode all the time, FIFA, but not Volta.
Do you see what you've still put in a ton of hours of that?
Yeah. And I know if we'd held on to Kukureya for another year, we could have got 120 million. It turns out.
You probably could have done.
Yeah.
Okay. We're done.
We are done. There's no fantasy zone, James?
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
There's not. It's because it's the week before Gamescom. There's very little out there at the moment. It's disappointing.
It is disappointing, but I tell you what isn't disappointing. We got a brand new game to talk about that came out this week on the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, I think, as well. Is it available on and the personal computer systems?
It's on the PS4 because it's all that confusion as well. If you try and buy it, it's really just weird.
Oh, go on. Right, so we're talking about Rollerdrome. Before we get to the game, what's the confusion?
Well, because I was looking at it as to whether to get it or not, and I opened up in the app, if you're thinking, okay, I'm just going to buy this now or download it or whatever, and it's not clear as to which one. If you click on the demo version, it's not clear if this is a PS4 version, PS5 version, or that kind of thing.
Have you actually bought it, or did you just get the demo?
I just got the demo in the end.
I thought it was very, very clear when I bought it which version you're supposed to be buying. It comes up. Usually I've moaned about Sony in the past with them sort of separating out the versions or whatever. But no, it's very clear when I bought it which one you should be buying. So it come up PS5 straight away. I was quite happy with that.
Was that on the console though?
No, that was on the app, I think. I bought it on the app. Yeah, was it bad on the console? Did you do it through the console?
Yeah, and it was a bit... Yeah. And then when I was looking at buying it, it was all just I'm not... It's just confusing. It's not great.
The thing is, if you buy one, you get both anyway, right? So it's just about which one you download. And I think since the last firmware update, they have made things a little clearer. I didn't have any particular problems.
I know our tags now, and it does say which version you want to get. But
So we've all played this, right? How much have you played? Matt, how far into it are you?
I'm on to the semi-final levels.
Yeah, same here. James, how far did you get?
I only played it for the mandated hour that the demo was. So yeah,
So you
that's
finished it?
Yeah.
No, I will say I think it's hard to judge this game on an hour's worth of gameplay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, look what Rollerdrome is. It's a sort of mix between an arcade shooter, which is wave based, so it's like think of a horde mode style shooter, with mixed with one of those old PS2 Tony Hawk style games, the extreme sports games. We'll get into the controls later. It doesn't really control like either of those really, but yeah. So that's the quick hand. It's got beautiful style. It's sort of set in the near future. I think isn't it set in 2030?
2030, yeah.
I think kind of actually. Nah, you should probably that should be further into the future. I think I can't imagine us creating a sport where you're rolling around an arena and shooting people in just 8 years' time. But you know, you never know. The way things are fucking going, eh? Yeah. Look, listen. I love the idea. I love the look. It's got sort of a. Do you remember when everyone used to say cell shaded? Do you remember that? And that was a regularly used phrase. It's kind of got a cell shaded.
And now
comic
it's like
book style.
like Sable. Do you remember Sable? It looks like Sable.
That's exactly what I was trying to think of. Yeah. Sable.
And it's a game that I feel that I should love, but I'm just not getting enough of that love out of it. I mean, when I initially first started playing it, let's start with the controls, right? So the first thing you'll notice is that it does not control like the older sort of extreme sports style games, right? Most notably, you do not hold forward. In most of those games, pretty much all of them, you hold forward on the analog stick. It takes a while to stop you doing that because holding forward is unnecessary. All you do is you tap up on the stick to make... what's the character's name? Anyone know?
Kara Hassan?
Kara. Yeah, you press
Kara?
up on the stick to make Kara go forward, and then you leave it. You press left or right to steer her. That's it. You do hold down the X button, but whereas in those older games, the longer you held it down, the higher you went. That does not seem to be the case on this. Could be wrong, but that's not the feeling I get. Also, all of the tricks are pretty much done on the left stick rather than the right stick, which would have felt more natural to me. But the right stick is obviously left for camera control, so that you can aim while you're upside down or whatever. You've got a flip trick on the R1 and a grab trick on the square, and that's pretty much it. The trick system is not complicated; it's very straightforward.
Yeah, there's also crucially dodge on circle button.
Dodge on the circle button, but you know that's not really part of the trick system. It's sort of just to avoid getting shot or hit by a baseball bat at any point. You've also got a slow motion trigger button that's L2, and yeah, it's kind of like, you know, usually where you're playing a third person shooter, you've got your sort of aimed out sights. You're kind of doing that, even though you're not aiming down sights. You're just using that to slow down time, and it's time limited, so you don't have it forever. But it screams at me that I would love this game. It really does. It's got everything there that I love. It's got the score building. It's got the shooting. It's got the action. It's got a unique visual style, interesting music, soundtrack. But I don't know. I would say 90% of the time I've spent with this, I've just either felt angry or disappointed or bored or frustrated. And I've not enjoyed my time with it. There's been 10% of the time where I've gone, oh, I can feel this now. I can feel this now. And I think the most enjoyable part I've had with this game is going back to the first 4 levels and trying to get a combo together. So combos work by doing tricks, but also by killing an enemy, right? So your multiplier goes up every time you kill an enemy. You build up points by doing tricks, right? So you combine that together, and you can go a whole level doing one combo, basically, if you're quick enough by killing enemies.
Yeah.
So doing those missions are fine, but anything above that, the game seems to go, right, let's just fucking chuck loads of really annoying enemies at you. Let's have 5 snipers in this wave. So you're not thinking, okay, I'll go there, do that, do this, do that, do that. you're constantly going, oh, got to dodge again, got to dodge again. I'm in the middle of a trick, but let me dodge again. It's like, it's
Yeah.
really just.
I'm so glad you're saying these words, because I thought I would be the only one coming to this show that is not a massive fan. I mean, this looked good when it got announced a while ago. I was like, this looks amazing, can't wait for this. And then the Eurogame review gave it like, essential, and it got
Essential,
loads of
yeah.
amazing reviews. I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be very, very good. And I was with you. The first 3 or 4 levels, this looks amazing. I love the vibe. The music's okay. It's kind of synthwave. It's not. It doesn't blow me away, but it does enough. There's like little kind of adventuring bits that add to the story in between groups of levels, where you can, it's only for a very short area, but you can like walk around, like a train or like the training facility, and you get kind of, you see other kind of environmental storytelling bits to explain about who you are and why you're doing this and what the tournament's about. And I love that. The game itself, it feels amazing when you nail a combo. It feels amazing when you dodge something in slow mo and then spin around and kill that person. But yeah, it got to the quarterfinals, I think it was. So there's like the initial opening round of like 4 levels, then 4 quarterfinals, then I guess 4 semis and 4 for the final. So I think there's 16 levels. And yeah, it got me to the second lot levels. I'm like, oh, I think I must be rubbish at this, and I'm also kind of done with this. One of the levels, like the first time you go to like the outdoor area, I did that on like oh no, not that, no, yeah. So you do like the first outdoor level, I did it on my second go. I was like, okay, maybe I'm learning something, maybe I'm getting better. And by doing it, I mean you can basically finish a level just by killing all the enemies. There's also loads of other challenges, like Dave said. There's like collect these 5 things that are floating around the location, do a certain grind in a certain area, a certain jump, kill people in a certain way. There's loads of them challenges, but to actually finish a level, it's just basically kill all the enemies. And yeah, one of these I did like second go. I was like, okay, I finally got it. And then after that, I spent literally hours on one level trying to finish it, and I couldn't, because if it wasn't a laser that gets you, it was like some enemies, when they die, they throw out these like mines, and you can dodge through these things, and you can dodge through all the things really, but you've got to be constantly dodging. And yeah, I want to do like a combo, or I'm about to go up to a ramp which I desperately need to do a certain jump on a certain ramp, or do a grind over a certain area, and just as I'm about to, a laser's shooting me, I need to hit like circle to do a dodge or perfect dodge, and I'm like, oh, just kind of walled me out. So
well, this is it because I think the game, what I want from a game like this is a flow and an energy to it, right? I want to feel that I'm going from enemy to enemy and I'm picking my path and I've got lines. Like that's what Tony Hawk's so brilliant at. You're picking your lines, right? And you're working your way through a level in a certain way to piece everything together. And your dodges, if you do a perfect dodge, it counts to your combo, but it also breaks that feeling of flow, because suddenly you're having to cancel what you were doing just to dodge. And it does things like, I read it in a bunch of reviews that it's really cool that you can't like fall over.
Yeah.
There's at no point, if you screw up and you're not lining your skates up to the floor, you don't wipe out like they do in Tony Hawk, and then you have to wait for your character to respawn or whatever. They don't do that because it helps towards the flow. Absolutely right, totally agree with that. But there's bits in the level where you just fall out. What's the difference? What's the difference? If you've made the effort to make the system work so that you can't just crash, why then can you jump out of the arena and then you get respawned back into the arena? There's one level with a gap in the middle of it, and it's like, well, if you don't judge that right, okay, you're punishing me, okay, fine, but it also takes away from that flow that you're trying to achieve, or that supposedly you're trying to achieve by taking out wipeouts. And it just gets to the point where I just kind of think, I'm not getting enough out of this that I want to get out of it. And as I said, there are moments where that does happen, but they've only been in those earlier levels and not the ones where it's like constantly being sniped at from the other side, or they introduce enemies that are so fucking annoying to take down. There is, the robots and stuff that take like 4 hits from the...
Yeah, and then there's some that kind of teleport. You do like 1 or 2 shots and then they teleport to another part of the location.
And the idea of that is like a lot of those, it's trying to teach you actually use this weapon to attack this enemy. So like for example, the basic enemies are always better to do with the shotguns. The guys with the rocket launchers do them with the pistols because you can take them out if you're quick enough, and all that sort of stuff. But then it gets to the point where it's just kind of like, okay, but even with the weapon that I think I'm supposed to take you down with, like for example the big robots with the grenade launcher, it still takes 5 hits from a grenade launcher, and you can only have two pieces of ammo. Yeah, 2 rounds, and then you've got to do a bunch of tricks to get more, and it's kind of like, it feels like it's holding me back from actually properly getting into that flow that I want to get into while playing this game.
But there are moments where it just feels incredible when you nail these moves. And I mean, like as David mentioned, to get more ammo for the weapons, and you got 4 weapons, a handgun, shotgun, grenades, and then this other kind of like long distance kind of rifle thing. And to get the ammo for them, you've got to do tricks, and if you do different tricks rather than doing the same trick over and over, then your ammo increases faster. So it's trying to convince you, encourage you to do more different tricks rather than just going to the edge of the ramp, doing a 360 and coming back down, because that will ultimately take a lot longer to get your ammo. But when you do nail that, and when you do go slow motion over someone's head and you aim and you kill them and you get an explosion, you get like the health that the enemy gives you once you've killed them, and then you like dodge through a laser or dodge through like an exploded mine. It feels and looks absolutely incredible, but I just got too frustrated personally. Now, one thing this game does do amazingly well is it has loads and loads of things you can change to make it easier or guess in
I heard about this today. I didn't know this existed. I didn't know this was a thing.
So I can't remember what they're called. I should remember, but I can't remember. But basically, you go into the settings menu, there are absolutely loads, and you can go from you can turn invincibility on, you can determine the amount of damage Kara takes from 100% all the way down to I guess 0%. So you can really granularly change it for your perfect difficulty really. And I got so fucked off on one level. I was like, okay, I thought I was gonna get this game finished over the weekend. It said 3 to 5 hours. I'm like, brilliant, a 3 to 5 hour shooting skating experience. I'm gonna love this. And I was like, it was very clear that I wasn't gonna get it done. And I got so fucked off after playing. It was one level for hours and hours and getting killed. And the final couple of enemies in the final round, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put invincibility on. Are they called oh no, I just forgot again. Put invincibility mode on, and then it didn't feel any better. It was still frustrating, and I was like,
in what way was it frustrating?
Because I still get shot with the lasers. There was still no flow. It wasn't like it just, and I wasn't losing any kind of health, and it still enabled me to do super reflex modes and stuff. But I don't know, it just didn't feel good. And I stopped that night and I was like, maybe I'm done with this. Maybe I just can't be bothered anymore. I have since gone back and I turned invincibility off and kind of changed some of the kind of damage amounts that Kara takes to, try other levels and stuff. And I do want to get done, but for me personally, it's just too frustrating.
They've also got the other side of this game is not only just getting through the levels and that. To get onto the next batch of levels, you need to do certain challenges, right? A little bit like Tony Hawk, where as you say, you've mentioned it before on this podcast, but collecting certain things or doing certain tricks, and they're not fun to do. They're not enjoyable ones, are they? They're sort of like, do this trick next to this token. Okay, I'll do that, and then I'll get to the end and it will say you've done it, and that counts towards you going on to the next batch of levels, which is fine, I guess. But I think that's ultimately it, right? Okay, I know Sean's been enjoying this way more than I have, so I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested to hear his point of view next week for sure. I just when I'm playing this, for the vast majority of the time, I'm not enjoying it. I'm not finding it fun to play, and I think that ultimately tells me that maybe I should just stop then. Because it's weird though, because I want to go and play it a little bit more.
Yeah, so do I. And I watched a couple of other people do incredible runs on YouTube. It looks so bloody cool because so you can press it was L1 to do this super reflex time, which basically slow mo. You have a limited amount of time of it. You can use it any time you want obviously once
two,
it
innit?
cools down,
Yeah.
you can do it again. And if you dodge like a laser, so lasers go on you, they're like grey, then red, then white. When they're white, they're about to shoot you. If you dodge then and then hit reflex time, you get like super reflex time, which means the things you fire do way more damage to enemies. And again, combining that also feels really fucking cool. Perfect dodging at the right time, then activating reflex time to take out an enemy that's being like kicking your ass. There's so many brilliant moments. I am just unable to kind of tie it all together, and the kind of annoyances kind of annoy me too much. But having said that, I mean, just what you said, Dave, I also do kind of want to go back and play because I would like to see more. But playing the earlier levels were just better with less enemies.
Yeah, that's it. The early, it feels like there should be a lot more levels to the standard of those first four in terms of in terms of like level design, but in terms of enemies, the amount of enemies they are, and the amount of variety of enemies. Because I think every time it adds a new enemy, I just find them fucking annoying. Do you know what I mean? Like, you start off with the basic, rocket launcher, sniper, baseball bat guy, that sort of stuff. But then all of a sudden, there's the ones that leave a trail of blue smoke on the floor, or whatever. That's annoying. Then you've got what was the latest one I've got, the ones that drop from the sky and just leave like this acid patch on the floor.
Yeah, well,
I'm like, brilliant. Okay.
All the green stuff.
Yes.
I quite enjoyed the boss battle before that. I thought that was quite cool.
That was all right. Yeah, I guess.
I thought that was good.
Okay, so James, you've not played it for that long. Have you got anything to add, or how are you finding it?
I mean, I played it for the hour that you got from the demo, and I mean, put it this way, from playing that, there's no way I'm going to buy it. Mostly because I mean, you're right. You can't judge the entire game based on that hour. Like I know.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that, the reason why I'm saying that is not that you would, right?
Yeah.
But I think the control systems are so wildly different to what you expect them to be when you pick it up. I think you need a couple of hours to at least wrap your head around the fact that you shouldn't be pressing forward, and and understanding what the game's actually asking you to do, because it's the sort of game that seems intuitive when you first start it, and then you go, oh no, actually this wants me to do something else actually. And it takes a while to get that message across, I think.
Yeah, you see, as I said to you, like when we were talking about this, like privately, it's like I don't have the whole thing with Tony Hawk's that you had. Like, so the control thing, I thought going into this would be like, oh, maybe it's just because you're used to a certain way of doing things or whatever, and so it's going to be, it's more difficult to adjust. But then I really didn't like the controls either. I just found they felt just really too loose to me, like all the time. That everything just felt really loose, and I didn't like that so much. And also, I just found it boring, honestly. Like, I mean, the biggest problem with it was the at the beginning they do the whole. I know you can see you laughing, Matt. It's I said at the beginning.
I know, but
it was
can't
close.
resist.
It was close, but yeah, no, like you have to do like the training and everything before you're actually allowed to go out and do the shooting stuff.
Yeah.
That goes on for ages, and it's not. I don't think it's very well put together, that training section, because it didn't make me feel like I was excited to get into the main game and start playing it at all. And then when I eventually got to do the first level, I just found it a bit irritating with the controls being kind of loose, and I don't think it looks that nice either. It looks really bland to me.
Oh, I don't know. I think I like
nice,
the style actually.
Yeah, I think it looks fantastic at points.
But you see, I go back and I think of stuff like Jet Set Radio and stuff like that. That looked amazing.
Well, no,
like,
it's definitely more a more muted palette than that. Obviously, it's not as vibrant, but I love the more muted palette. Frankly, I think it's got a really fantastic style. I think everything.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do quite like the way it looks. That's what gets me.
I got up to the bit where you unlock the shotgun. Like, that's where I got up to, and then I was just doing these bits over and over, and I was just like, I'm not really enjoying this at all, and I don't want to play it. I don't want to play.
Did you have
this
the same reaction, Leon, or are you a little bit more positive than us?
Similar, really. There was a news story about the demo, in fact, and I don't know whether they fixed this, but actually when I downloaded it, it said it was an hour, but it was actually 35 minutes that you actually got. I saw somewhere, I think it was Eurogamer actually ran a story saying it's weird. It says you get an hour, but you don't.
Well, I mean, that isn't that one of the things that Sony sells its premium service on, that everything gets an hour's thing, or is it separate from that?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yes, it didn't. It was definitely saying you've got 35 minutes, but I didn't even.
Quick! Someone contact Alex Neil.
Yes, exactly. But they may have sorted that out after I downloaded it anyway. I saw the reviews. It's sitting on an 80 on OpenCritic at the moment, so solid, but not
reviewed
stellar.
Incredibly well.
And obviously it was evocative of Jet Set Radio with the skating and the cell shading. I've got a lot of fondness for that sort of, the sort of finger gymnastics of the Tony Hawk's games. I went through the demo bit, which was a little bit dry and stodgy. But I thought it's probably the kind of game that, once you've acclimatized, as you say, to the controls and got your head and brain around the combo mechanics, I can imagine it's the sort of game that you get more out of the better you get at it. Yeah. But it doesn't seem to have perhaps quite hooked people in the way that Neon White did a few months ago. And I found you were saying it felt loose, but if anything, maybe this is just the way we've interpreted the way the controls feel, but I thought, if anything, like the character didn't rotate fast enough for me, or wasn't quite responsive enough compared to the things I was being asked to do. I was thinking, this game, has it got, like, once you're fully into career mode, has it got a skill tree or RPG element so that you can, like in Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, you actually increase your rotation speed and things like that. Yeah. Jump higher, all that stuff. That feels like that would be absolutely nailed on to make progress in this game. Obviously, I wasn't aware of those tweaks and gameplay options, accessibility, or whatever else they are. When I was playing the demo, I just left everything on default, and I didn't have a bad time, but I just found myself, as soon as the enemy started appearing on those high ledges that you couldn't easily get up to, and and then every time you land a trick, you then have to kind of you have to think every time you've kind of gone through killing one or two enemies, you then have to think much more carefully about reloading. And I thought, maybe this is the kind of game where you can fully get into the zone after a few hours practice. But I didn't feel it didn't hook me early enough to make me want to do that.
That's the thing.
I think it would have helped.
I don't think it makes a great first impression. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think it would have helped if there was a better difficulty curve, right? If there was 12 levels at the same sort of level of the first 4. Where it's not too many enemies, and then it slowly ramps up. Whereas this one, it's like 4 levels, then the next 4 are fucking way harder, and then I'm on the next 4, and they're fucking way harder. And I got to the point where I was like, no, I can't. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do.
And is that the sum total of the game? Because, like, one of the major criticisms about second mention of this show, the recent Mario Strikers, is that all the single player content was just a cup, right? Just a bunch of cups. Yeah. You win all the cups and the single player's done. Is there anything more to this?
Well, yes. There's way more to this. There's the story stuff I haven't really been following. There's exploration bits at the start of every batch of levels, and there's terminals, there's story to read there. But no, even just having the idea that you've not only got the combo side of it, you've got the trying to get through the level side of it, and you've also got the challenges. I think that offers you way more than Strikers ever did.
There's now a mode called Out for Blood mode, which opens once you finish it. I assume that's just harder. But I haven't obviously got anywhere near that. It's weird that we're saying about difficulty spike, because I felt that massively. But then the reviews I read say, the difficulty curve is perfect. Like what they do.
That's bollocks. That's
just like, wow.
I just don't agree with that at all. Whether it's bollocks or not is his personal opinion, but I do not agree with that in the slightest. I think the difficulty curve is shit. There's so much more that they could do to slowly ramp up to the levels where you are constantly getting bombarded from the other side of the map.
But I do applaud him for the assists, and I guess the assists, which I've remembered the name now after googling it, that is what enables you to hopefully change the experience as a bit more at your level. But for me, it still kind of didn't make it any more satisfying. Really, for me.
I think Leon's absolutely right. I would have loved to have seen a skill tree. I would have loved to have seen a way of unlocking more ammo for your favorite weapon, more damage for whatever weapon you want. I think that would have made it a lot more interesting. Yeah, so it's a shame they didn't go down the route. I'm sure there's a reason for it. There's always a reason why devs don't do something that we think is obvious. But I'd like to.
I think
hear
sometimes some modern gaming is arguably kind of buried in RPG mechanics and skill trees to a fault in the point that not necessarily every game benefits from them, and there is something nice about the purity of a game that you pick up and you learn how to play, and it never changes from that baseline experience in the sense that it's all about your skill and your progression. So I guess that's what they were going for. I also think it was interesting. I saw a few comments online saying that people had just made the assumption based on the presentation of this game and the name that it was a multiplayer arena.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's initially what I
James,
thought.
Didn't you? I mean, James thought
that. Exactly what I thought. Yeah.
Not only is it not one of those, it's completely single player, right?
Yeah, it's single player only, isn't it? So, yeah, it's crazy. I was very surprised at that. I thought this was a multiplayer game, but until I read the reviews and I was like, what? But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm really interested to hear what Sean's got to say next week because he's really been enjoying it.
he absolutely loves it.
So I'm sure there's people out there that will like this game. We just happen to be 4 people that did not get on with this game.
One really weird thing that hasn't happened to me in ever is that this game made me motion sick as well at one point.
Ooh. Really?
I'm not sure if it's because so on one of the days last week, LED was out and I was like, wow, I can actually have a day where I play games. And I thought I'm going to get this game done today. It's a 3 to 5 hour game. It wasn't the case, and maybe it's because I was just playing it for like a few hours and stuff. But yeah, I was like, God, I feel really unwell, and I felt a bit unwell for the last couple of weeks anyway. So I thought maybe it's just that, but. No, I think this game made me emotional sick. It's bizarre. I mean, there's a lot of spinning. There's a lot of, you go in the air and then you turn in all sorts of directions. But
anything...
I've never had that
with
a non-VR.
Did you play Tony Hawk a lot?
Yeah, I love Tony Hawk. Yeah, I've never had that on a non-VR game. So, yeah,
Weird.
I mean, Scientologist says I was drinking heavily. I was also drinking heavily. Could be that.
Could be that. Okay, so that's Rollerdrome. We'll come back to that next week. I'm sure. I mean, I will play more of it.
Did you think you could do enough to get it finished, Dave?
No. Not if the way I left it last time I played it made me think that I'm not even going to try and finish it.
What about if you go in and turn all the assists on just to kind of would that be enough?
It kind of feels like it defeats the point, but maybe I'll try that. I don't like.
On one of the levels, I turned the damage down to like 50%. I was like, okay, I'm getting through it a lot more. But ultimately, yeah, as I said previously, it just wasn't feeling that great.
Yeah, I suppose because I'm not I'm not. It doesn't really. I know you can check leaderboards and stuff, but that's not like in your face the moment you finish a level, is it? So I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll try this.
If you put the assist on, by the way, you're not on the leaderboard, so I will say that much.
Right. Okay. But then I don't want to be. I don't want to be on the leaderboards, Matt.
No, me neither. Forget it.
Yeah. They care about the leaderboards.
Grow up.
Okay. All right then. So that's Rollerdrome. James, you've got another game to talk about. Leon's got a bunch of games, but we'll get to them after. But you want to talk about Cult of the Lamb again?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about it a little bit because I mean I was kind of down on it last week when I first talked about it. And
I thought you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it, and I do enjoy it. This is the problem. I'm hooked on this game, but not in a great way. Now, what I mean by that is that I don't think it's that very good, but for some reason I'm still compelled to play it. And part of it is because the combat stuff, like especially the combat in the dungeons, is not, as I said last week, is nowhere near as good as like Death's Door or Hades or anything like that. It's like not even close, in terms of like enjoyment for the combat, right? So the stuff that's hooked me in is the base building stuff. Like it's where you're like sort of building your own cult, you're sort of building all these like buildings and like upgrading them and all that kind of stuff, getting followers. But do you know what it's just like? David, do you remember Happy Street?
I do remember Happy Street.
Oh, on iOS, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I do.
Yeah.
Happy Street was a free to play like tap game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
I only remember you talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
James
other than
sent it to me.
You two
and said,
about.
I'm addicted to Happy Street.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
And I was like, he said, please play it. You've got to play it up to this point.
Yeah.
And I went, I don't want to play it up to this point. You went, no, just give it a go up until this point. And then I got addicted to it.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
Happy
I
Street.
definitely played a bit, but I took a step back.
Does it save? Does it save your street? I'd like
Probably,
to download
yeah.
it and see
It
if
still
it's
exists. Yeah, it's still around. I mean, I've
Happy
not
Street,
played
Happy
it
Street
years, but,
stream.
a weird time in my life. Go on.
So
But
this
this-
reminds you of that then?
It really, really reminds me of Happy Street in the sense of what you're doing is that you're doing like all the upgrades and stuff, and of course it does give you some abilities for when you're like doing the fighting in the dungeon and stuff. But it doesn't feel. It feels like you're just upgrading stuff for the sake of it, like and in the same way that it was like that with Happy Street. You know, you were like
my
upgrading
God,
all
it
this
is
stuff.
there.
And you're just like, what's the point? I don't. There's no point in me playing this. I mean, I know as Leon is saying, it's like this. What is pointless? What is not pointless? That kind of thing. But this feels on that sort of level where you're sort of like, I'm kind of enjoying it, but only because there's some compulsive loop of like sort of upgrading everything. Even though I don't really feel like it's massively changing the game for me.
Okay. So I've just downloaded Happy Street. It says download your save game. Your save game on the server is level 11, whereas your local save game is level 1. Would you like to overrate your local game? Yes, I would.
Man.
There was an issue with the data. Please make sure you have the latest version of Happy Street. Oh no. Oh no.
I mean,
Oh,
there's
your
a chance
save
they probably
data's
haven't
Street.
upgraded
It's the
it
wrong-
for recent iOSs. I mean, is it even still?
How many updates have there been?
Exactly.
since
Oh
you-
Have
my
they even-
god. What a shame. I think
Have they
I've
even
lost my
bothered?
Happy Street.
So James, what
Start
so
again.
James, what are like the three? Says the part where you build like your settlement or your town
Yeah.
or whatever. There's a dungeons. Is there a third component?
Kind
Or
of.
is it
There's
just M2?
there's also other areas that you can go to where you can get like quests to like again. It's a collectathon. Like you just collect stuff to complete quests and that's it. And I know again that's being very reductive, but games are good when they don't reveal that to you. Like when it's not so obvious that it's like that.
Yeah.
Sort of on the nose of like you're just collecting stuff to upgrade stuff and everything. And that's the problem with this. But again, I'm still hooked on it. Like I've played this for about 20 hours now, I think probably, like over the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
And-
but it's
but
not a
then
20-hour
it's-
game, is it? I got
No,
the
it
impression
is.
as. Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
it's quite a long game because although again it depends on how long you. I mean, like the worst thing is you get like your villagers come up to you and they're just like, "Oh, can you go and help my friend who's got stuck in a dungeon?" And then you're like, "I don't really want to, but if I do, don't do it. My faith goes down." So then you just have to waste another 10 minutes like going through a dungeon again, the same one you've done like many times, just to save someone that you don't care about. It's really weird. I don't know why. I just still feel compelled to play it, and because it's
So
not.
it's got a compelling. What?
James. Are you getting
What?
it? Is this your Power Wash sim?
I don't know. It
Sounds like it might be, mate.
Cold Land Forgotti. It's Chris Band says James calls this a collection. James, tell us about Pokemon Arceus again.
Exactly, but that's the same thing. I hated that as well by the end because it's the same sort of thing of just like I don't know. These games they just break me sometimes because I get hooked into them and it just goes on for too long and it's just. But then I can't stop. This is what I was saying about that washing, like the power wash stuff. That's why I couldn't play that game because if I started to seriously get into that, I would have to finish it.
That would be dangerous.
And it's just
I need someone else to do
Yeah.
that. I need to hear someone else go through that pain.
Yeah, Dave, on last week's show, you said, I really hope Matt does it. I think Matt will do it. And
Yeah.
I can't. I've got to get Elden Ring finished. I've got to get loads of other things
You've
done.
not been back to Elden Ring. You're never going back to Elden
I
Ring.
went back to it. I went back to it 2 or so weeks ago.
Oh yeah, you're never going back to it again. That's it. You're done.
What? I'm not done. I literally have been going back to it. How can I be
2 weeks
done?
ago. That's it. You're
Well, yeah,
done, mate.
I've been poorly. And
Where are you up to?
Stormvale Castle, not far. I checked. I've done like 24 hours of gameplay, and I'm only at. Is it Stormvale?
So you've beaten Margit.
Yeah, I've done that.
Right, so you're on to the next
yeah.
boss. Right, okay.
Which is funny because I think on the show last week or maybe the week before, it was last week, and you're like, "Oh, James, how far are you into it?" And you're like, "Oh, I've done this, done that, I've done this." And I'm like, well, "Okay." James is like, "We're going way further than like 5 hours now. I've done 25." But
Yeah,
I spent about 20 odd hours exploring. Exploring is what I've enjoyed the most out of that game. But no, I need to get back on that. So there's no chance I'm playing Power Wash them.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I
won't.
literally am. So how can I not be?
Yeah, few weeks ago.
Well, I've had a lot going on.
You won't get back on it.
James, I will. James, if so, you say this is compelling, but it's not a great game. If you were to review this game right now, what would you even give it?
Good question. We've lost James.
No,
No,
I'm
he's
still here. I'm
just about
thinking
here.
about it.
It's even more highly rated by critics than Rollerdrome that we were just talking about. Yeah, it's on an 85
People
on
love
OpenCritic.
people love Cult of the Lamb or
I
whatever.
mean, from what I saw, is like, a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's good, but in Rollerdrome, a lot of people said it was amazing. But it's okay, that's cool.
I mean, I'm just telling you
No,
the numbers.
you're a liar.
Obviously,
You're making up the websites again, aren't you?
Yeah, he's just dropping bullshit into our podcast
Yeah.
so you can
It
try and
says
get us to
here,
know.
educate
Grenades.
them.
bullshit
Yeah,
grenades.
James.
everywhere.
So, if objectively, if you want to give us like what would you even give it a score, or can you not? Because you're so deep down the rabbit hole of just the gameplay loop, you can't even assess how good the game is.
Maybe.
Oh, fucking just give us a
Out of
number.
what?
Why have you made this
Out
so
of what?
difficult, James?
Just
Out
you
of
can
what?
you can
Out of
choose
73.
You can choose the rating.
Out of G's,
Okay, I'm
5
going to
G's.
give it.
How
I'm
many
going to give it
Gs?
68%. There you go.
Okay, right. So give it a 7 out of 10.
Well, that's more than Metro Game Central gave.
Giving it a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
That is a solid score.
That is solid, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that was pointless. You made that pointless. So you done with Cult of the Lamb?
No, I will finish it, but yeah, I'm done with it talking about it. Yeah.
Cool. Leon, you got a bunch of games to rattle through. Let's hear them.
Oh, yeah. Because I've probably said this when I've been on this podcast before, but I mainly play stuff for our podcast, which tends to be older stuff, at least a year or two old, sometimes 30 or 40 years old. So I've really just picked a few things that I've been poking away at that are more recent releases. The first of which is a very, very slight game indeed. Kirby's Dream Buffet.
Right. So this is the new Kirby game that come out.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
Get rolling.
like Harry. It's
Eating.
weird. Every time I turn the Switch on,
And
the
growing.
last thing he's looked at is the trailer for it.
Kirby's
I'm like,
Dream
I'm
Buffet.
just waiting
Yeah.
for him to go, Dad. But
One
I'm not
day,
sure.
the Dream Fork suddenly shrinks Kirby.
There's really not
To
much
enjoy
to it.
this world of
It's-
sweets to the fullest,
extraordinarily
Kirby gets
adorable if you
rolling
like
into a
Kirby.
competition.
And if, like me, you're a sucker.
Up to 4 players can play together. Eat the most.
I think a lot of people thought this was going to be free to play with microtransactions, but it's not. It's a one-time purchase at $15 or 13
Yeah,
quid.
that's great.
And for me,
again, I think everyone
just about
assumed
worth
free to play, but
yeah, because there's been a bunch of other Kirby games on the eShop of that nature, right? That have been kind of relatively simplistic gaming things that happen to have Kirby pasted all over them, and then I guess you buy stuff within those games. I haven't played any of those or downloaded any of them. My niece has told me about some of them, but I wasn't really interested in that. Played the recent Kirby, the full price.
I need to go
proper
back
one.
to that.
oh,
I'm
that
nowhere
is
near
such a
finishing
bloody
it.
good game. That is fantastic.
Yeah,
It's a great time.
excellent.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Deeply adorable. And this is not that. This is obviously it's like a third of the price and whatever else. But I've had some enjoyable brief sessions with it for the price of like 2.5 pints or something like that. You take your Kirby, you roll him down a course in a sort of Marble Blast or Monkey Ball style, but you're competing with others in a Fall Guys fashion, knocking each other off the course, picking up power-ups and trying to get ahead, taking the more treacherous pathways up and above and around the level to collect more strawberries as you go. Strawberries are the currency. You munch strawberries all the way down to the end, and then whoever gets to the end first gets the pick of 3 giant plates of strawberries, one of 50, one of 20 and one of 10, something like that. There's a little bit of a tussle if you all arrive there simultaneously. Munch some strawberries by spinning the analog stick. And then if you're playing the Grand Prix mode, what makes it slightly more interesting, and by the way, I speak as somebody who has literally played 1 round of Fall Guys, so I have no opinions or
But
comparisons.
you're saying this is
really
better
with
than Fall Guys. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's infinitely better. No, I suspect it's not. I suspect it's got way less to it, and certainly now Fall Guys is free to play and got loads of crossover content and all that kind of thing. I suspect Fall Guys is probably an easier sell, but than spending $15 or whatever on this. But what I think is different, as far as I know, is that in between the racing rounds, you've got these mini games, almost Mario Party style, where you can increase your strawberry count and reduce the strawberry count of others.
Excellent.
There'll be like a top-down section where strawberries are being dropped on the stage and you have to knock others out the way, or there'll be being dropped into cups or various other kind of little gimmicky sessions like that, then that just affects the strawberry count somewhat. Then without kind of seamlessly, this is another thing I like about the game, it goes from the racing stage to the mini game stage to the next racing stage, no kind of pauses or loading. You're onto another racing course. I think there's a fair number of courses in the package as well, different themes of different kinds of foods, whether it is all desserts and cakes, or sometimes it's breakfast, or sometimes it's burgers. Another race, and then after the second race, which obviously again affects your strawberry count, you have a final battle royale mode, which is kind of like Smash Brothers from the top down, but with Kirby. You're trying to knock each other out the stage, and you get strawberries for knocking the others out, and they get their strawberry totals reduced. And then
so the whole idea is to just get as many strawberries and eat them for yourself as you can.
That is it.
Should have called it Ian Lee's Dream Buffet, eh? I should have called it because should have called it Ian Lee's Dream Buffet, eh? Because the jungle.
I just think it's got online mode. I mean, I should have shown you this for Le Tournoi. This looks perfect for.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Tournoi. Yeah. Matt, what were you thinking? That would have been perfect for the Tournoi.
Also, Leon, is there a game in this called Kirb Stomping? There should have been.
Yeah. It's obviously it is brutally violent. No, it's sickeningly sweet. If that's your thing, like if you don't mind that's kind of uber cute Kirby stuff. In the lobby before the race, you can tap on the D-pad and do little Kirby voices to your other competitors and stuff like that. So if you can fall for Kirby's cuteness, when he sizes up, it's quite cute. He gets bigger and bigger. Basically, you're trying to make an obese Kirby by the Kirby by the end of the race. I
kind of love this.
And
I love the
it gets covered in icing, which is adorable.
No, have you played this? You played this multiplayer? Yeah? Have you played this with random people?
So I've been flipping between. There's a single player mode, which is, as you can imagine, not that engaging because you're beating the AI or not. But there's 4 difficulty levels of that. Yeah, probably more to the point is the online multiplayer, which is four players at a time, which makes it more fun. But obviously obviously it's Nintendo, so there's no voice comms. Sometimes you get games that are really laggy or even appear like they're suffering with massive slowdown. But after every match, your points get racked up and the slider goes up and you unlock some trinkets and doobies and costumes and colors. I mean, there really isn't that much to it, but it's quite charming and fun. I think if I had a local group or maybe some kids or something, I would have a lot of fun with this in a kind of old school party setting.
A local group of kids. I don't just start rounding them up. Kids.
Combine the two.
Yeah, I'm not allowed.
No, you're not.
But no, it's totally inconsequential. I think some people will think it isn't worth the money, especially when Fall Guys is available for nothing if you don't want to spend any money on it. But for fans of the Kirb stuff,
but the problem is with Fall Guys is that I think even for Harry's age, nah, not for Harry's age actually. He's okay with Fall Guys. He's never won a game, but it is hard, isn't it? Fall Guys, especially some of the levels are like ridiculously difficult.
Yeah, they're quite technical now, aren't they?
So like a competitive game like Fall Guys that younger people could play sounds all right to me.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're going for. I would say the courses are pretty. They have their challenging paths if you want to go for the extra strawberries, but to actually roll just straight down the course isn't going to be testing for most players.
I would love it if they did the free-to-play stuff with it, though. Like because they've done free-to-play Kirby before, right? They did that boss rush game, but that was very much of the old-style free-to-play, the way of doing free-to-play, right? So that was you get the game for free, and then it's just constant with the whole in-game currency stuff. I'd love them to release something like this and say, okay, it's free. There's not any of that in-game currency stuff, but there is a season pass or whatever, and you could get a different color Kirby, or you could do little outfits or whatever. If you pay £5 for the season, and then you get the unlocks like you do with the Epic games or whatever. I'd like to see them do stuff like that because I think that's less aggressive with the monetization of games, and I think there'd definitely be a market for it. Rather than, am I actually saying?
So,
Am I actually saying I'd rather this be free to play than £11 or whatever it is? I don't know if I am
wow,
actually.
you're not the anti-James Farley.
Yeah, but James Farley hasn't bought this, so
Well,
he's not.
that's the funny thing. Like James was convinced this was free to play, and then last week when he heard it was a one-time purchase, he's like, "I'm not buying that." I was like, "Oh, what do you want? Make your mind up, James."
No, because I wanted to wait and see what the reviews are like, whether it was any good or not. That's why.
That sounds alright.
Yeah, this it kind of sold me now, actually.
I think it's all right. Like it could be more substantial. They could have gone further with the kind of with the monkey ball and marble blast type physics and 60 frames a second and all that. It doesn't have any of that. It's very kind of loose and knockabout. But if you're a sucker for the kind of cutesy sweet graphics and the theme and the silliness of it, I think there is enough in there for the price they're asking.
Yeah,
just
you
about.
sold me on that.
Cool.
I need some more Kirbs in my life.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Kids will love it probably.
Yeah.
But I'm not offering refunds if they don't.
Uncle Leon said he'll give you the money.
As a Leon guarantee.
Yeah.
Your kids will love this. Spend the money.
I know nothing about children.
Okay.
Well, what's next?
I just wanted to shout out to Capcom Arcade Second Stadium.
Games that are
I don't
available
know if
in
any of you
one
will
bundled
remember,
package. Be sure to like the
a
video.
couple of years ago, they released
Subscribing
Capcom Arcade
is
Stadium,
free
and it
as
seemed like
well.
the
So
idea
we're here
would
on the
be that
Series
they would
X.
release
That's
more games for Capcom Arcade Stadium. It came out with 30 games that you could buy in packs of 10 originally, or all of them. Oh no, I think they were only available in packs of 10. Eventually, they released them as individual purchases as well. 30 classic Capcom coin-ops from their earliest days of 83, 84, I think, all the way through to the early 2000s. And the assumption was after that they would then, add more DLC to this Stadium wrapper, which was a really nice wrapper with loads of features, all the kind of retro game stuff that you'd want, manuals and leaderboards and unlockables, and you could customize all your cabinets, kind of manna from heaven to old arcade fans like me. Decent amount of options in terms of how you make the game look and all this kind of stuff. But then all went quiet, and instead they released their fighting game collection, which came out about 3 weeks before this or something like that, which is again a fantastic collection of old, specifically Capcom arcade fighting games. Then they released Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, which is, for whatever reason, a completely separate download. It has all the exact same features, and they even updated the first client to match a couple of the new features of the second one. So essentially, you just have to boot the different client depending on which games you want to play. And the games are split across the history of Capcom from between the first and the second. So you'll have games in different series on the different compilations rather than having them all in a neat line. So it's all a bit weird like that. And also a load of the games that are in the Capcom fighting collection are also on this. So if you're not like a complete, retro vintage arcade coin-op nutter like I am, if you've bought one, you won't need the other, and vice versa. It's only if you want to kind of have access to absolutely every game they've ever made more than once. There's a bunch of games on this that you probably already got in the Street Fighter Anniversary collection. There's also Capcom Arcade Cabinet, which is a different thing that they released about 10 years ago on last gen, but you can still play it on your Xbox Series X, and that's basically a bunch of the same games as well. Anyway, but 30 games, I would say about half to 2/3 of them are absolutely cracking. A small subset of them are absolutely spot on. The emulation's really solid, especially on PlayStation. I've been playing this. It's a PS4 client, but I've been playing it on PS5. Probably makes no difference. There's some input latency issues on the Switch version, apparently, which is quite common with emulated stuff.
Really? What, for that specific console?
There's a lot of issues with input lag on various emulated games on the Switch, according to the expert channels that I follow. Partly to do with controller latency, and partly just to do with the nature of the machine and the way it outputs and
Can I just
stuff
say,
like this.
James put his hand up to talk then. James, you're on a podcast that
sorry.
you've been on for God knows how long. We don't usually use cameras. Why are you putting your hand up to talk?
I didn't put my hand up. I put my finger
He's
up.
being very polite.
And I pointed
Oh,
my
he's
finger.
He's going to make a point.
No, because
the episode title.
That has just reminded me something else I wanted to say about Cult of the Lamb, but I forget it. It doesn't matter. I know it's just come from nowhere, but that's what happens sometimes when you have a conversation, David. You remember stuff. You know, it does.
You're killing the flow more than Rollerdrome at the moment, boy. That's it.
It's an evolving conversation.
Diss on
it's an evolving
Rollerdrome.
conversation.
Go on.
Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. I mean, for me, like these two as a set, the original Arcade Stadium and this one, even though they've released them in a weird way, and why do I need two clients that are exactly the same? They're just absolutely essential, like in my collection, always installed, always just there for a quick game of whatever. I particularly like the fact that each of the games in the collection has a very specific kind of score attack mode where, so obviously with a lot of these retro compilations or emulated games, they'll give you the option to muck around with the settings to give yourselves more lives or even rewind or save states or whatever else. And that's all great. And I absolutely applaud all that. But it can be a temptation to kind of abuse the games in that way and then see them all or see them through. Sometimes it's a boon because you don't want to get good at a particular game, but each of these games has a score attack mode which locks you into a particular set of settings, a number of lives, one credit and whatever else, and you have to get better at that game to register a score online. It won't even accept a score below a certain threshold and things like this. And then you get,
I would not be on those leaderboards.
Then you get yourself on the leaderboards. Then you can see where you are in the global rankings and all that kind of stuff. So if you're into that, like I am, then
so
it's
it sounds like it's got
stuff.
something for everyone. Whether you're like the hardcore and you want to, go to that hardcore settings, or you just want to like see games the end that maybe you played when you're in your youth and you want to turn it on easy mode. It sounds like if you're into that kind of stuff, it looks pretty good.
One controversial element is I think the invincibility mode I mean, you can still use save states and I think rewind, but I think the invincibility mode is actually a microtransaction. It's like £2 or something to turn on invincibility on all games, something like that. Or possibly
that's outrageous.
Possibly,
that's
classic
outrageous.
Capcom. Possibly you get it if you've already got the original Capcom Arcade Stadium. But yeah, the other thing about this is, so the games on the original, I think they reduced the prices after releasing them all individually. I think the games on this one, you can buy them all individually this time, which you couldn't before. But I think they're like £4 a game as opposed to £2 or whatever for the original. But again, if you were buying like a weekly release from Hamster or the Archives label, you'd be paying £5-6 per game anyway. So I don't think £4 is outrageous, but £2 obviously. I guess the price will drop at some point, and then for people who are less invested than me, you can just pick up one or two that you like for a couple of quid and grab some achievements and whatever else, trophies.
So do you reckon these like retro collections are getting better and better these days? I mean, that buying a cheap thing sounds a bit dodgy, but it sounds like they're pretty complete. Yeah.
No, I think that's very much the case. There's been a lot of emphasis on, because there's a lot of kind of really, really hardcore dedicated channels to this stuff. Real advocates of playing on original hardware where you can and whatever else. But of course, not everyone has that.
They've also got to do something because there's a huge rise in these like sort of dedicated retro consoles now. Spoke about them a few times on the podcast recently, but if you're offering a selection of retro games, you've got to fucking put the effort in these days.
Yeah, there's been so much there's so much discussion now about input latency as a particular bugbear. It's the kind of thing that you wouldn't necessarily notice if you'd never played the original games or if you weren't particularly sensitive to it. But it's a bit like the FPS discussion in that it's one of those things that once you start to notice it, you notice it more and more. So and it can obviously, input latency can actually kill your ability to play a game well. And a lot of these old games didn't take any prisoners or make any apologies about being, requiring incredible responses. So anything beyond kind of 3 or 4 frames a second, you're really going to start to notice it. Audio lag is another traditional issue with emulated titles, bad screen filters that don't give you the correct look of the old monitors and whatever. So I think there's been, because the level of enthusiasm in the market and the level of knowledge in the market has grown, so as the sort of the care and attention that the companies tend to put into these things now.
Apart from Sonic Origins, which
yes, bit of a mess that. But they got the right people in to do it, but then they kind of took it off their hands to get it out the door, which is a real shame. It's had one update, but hopefully there'll be more.
I find it interesting you mentioned about the fact that like some emulators are poor in terms of lag or latency and stuff, and yet like so many of the other ones like are trying to be like switch killers, and yet they can do emulation perfectly and play, you know, the kind of the more modern games as well.
Yeah, it can be a real minefield with this stuff, and I'm probably not like there are some people out there. There are some, as I say, dedicated YouTubers and people who absolutely like forensically tear this stuff apart, and I'm not quite at that level, but I do appreciate it when it's done well, and you can definitely feel the difference between a game that's not responding and a game that is.
Superb.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, just mention the latest, the brand new hotness that is Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, new levels. We
Mario
haven't spoken
Circuit
about this,
3.
have we?
Look, I don't think this track
it's
is that.
Booster Pack 2, another 8 courses, several of which have already been seen on tour on the mobiles, which I don't play, so I haven't kind of had these tracks spoiled for me. I can't tell you how excited I was when they announced 48 new circuits for Mario Kart 8. And I think there has been a certain amount of disappointment with the fact that they are fairly quick and dirty ports of mobile courses in a lot of cases.
Really? Well, like, can they just port them out? I would have assumed that they'd had to rebuild them.
No, I mean, I don't know how much rebuilding there has been done. There was a Digital Foundry analysis showing that they have done some work on them, like textures have been improved compared to the mobile versions, and there's been a few tweaks and things like that. So I don't know how much of it is just a straight, like we just take the maths out from this game and whack it in this game. I suspect there's more to it.
Well, it's funny because I suppose the alternative viewpoint to that is that when I'm playing them, I get frustrated because I feel that they're not as well as designed, noticeably not as well designed as the other levels. Mainly, like sometimes you'll find yourself not knowing where to go, and that should never be the case in the Mario Kart game.
Are you referring directly to the tour ones, not the ones that come from the mobile version?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. There's bits where I'm like, why is there this little alleyway here that just leads to nowhere? And why am I in it? And now I've got to reverse it out and stuff. But on the flip side, Harry's like super buzzed when he sees some of the levels from Tour in this, because obviously he played loads of that, and he was like, I know this level from Tour. Oh, look, they've got that. And I'm like, okay, I've got no nostalgic or any sort of emotional response to any of those levels, whereas he is like absolutely buzzed whenever that one of those is in the game. It's crazy.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and I would say the actual tour tracks are not my favourites, but I do like some of the music that comes with them.
Yeah,
that's always a treat. But it's also that we get things like the N64 Calamari Desert, which was previously updated for Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS, and we've got the DS track Waluigi Pinball.
Waluigi Pinball, that's a classic.
It's also nice to get on the donut planes again. You know, it's a really simple level. Sure. As soon as I hear that music, it's like I'm not going to say how old I'm again, but you know, it was.
I'm 32 again.
I was 30. Yeah. I'm in my early 20s again. It was, but no, it sounds brilliant.
And there's one new track. Well, I think it's a completely new track until they put it in Tour, and in whenever they do soon. Sky High Sunday, which is an ice cream themed track, which again I don't think is actually the most interesting track to race on, but again I do like ridiculously saccharine
so they're taking some of these levels and putting them back into the mobile game as well.
Well, I think what's happening is that they're designing them, I guess, concurrently or whatever, and then just doing slightly different versions. There are, as I say, the Digital Foundry did find some different textures, and like the Switch version has better road road textures and things like that. But overall, you can see the visual difference between the tracks from Mario Kart 8 that are now is from 2014, so they're 8 years old. Obviously, they were updated in terms of resolution for the Switch and tarted up here and there, but they look better than the new ones that are coming out.
Yeah,
they've got better lighting and more attention to detail.
I'm asking that because I saw some people complaining when this Wave 1 came out, saying like, "Oh wow, like the difference between like the style of like the tour ones to this, it just looks absolutely rubbish." And it's much more. It is more, well, I guess, simple. It's less realistic. Not the Mario Kart is really realistic, but it has a bit more lighting.
Yeah.
Whereas tour is obviously more basic for mobile devices, and they've kind of kept that style but made it HD, or haven't they, or higher definition?
Yeah. It is slightly disappointing. Like it would have been more amazing if they'd put all the time, effort, and money and assets into those. Keep the tracks by all means. Use the actual course designs and track data or whatever else. But yeah, if they'd actually made them look as good as the existing tracks in 8DX, which is even 8DX is 5 years old now, right? And these tracks do look a bit kind of rough and ready. But of course, when you're playing with whatever 12 cars on the track at any one time, if you're playing either multiplayer or high level Grand Prix, you're not really worrying too much about the fact that it doesn't look as amazing. You're just happy to have a new course to drive around.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, we've played 2 of these cups out of the 4 that have been released. And then the kids were like, "Oh, just forgot about it for a bit." And I'm hoping that they do that for a long time, so that when we do go back to it, because there will always be a time where we're like, "Let's smash the Mario Kart for like a week or 2." To have like a bunch of cups to go to is going to be quite exciting. So we will go through them, but at the moment,
well, I think they really come alive, even though the kind of it messes up the kind of continuity of the art style and whatever else to get pretentious about a silly Mario Kart game. I actually think the fact that there are 48 new courses on top of the 48 that are already in there, it really comes alive when you're just playing random courses, right? Because it just adds to the sense of the variety and the lack of like, oh, I know what's coming next.
I still say I hope the next one takes a turn for the Smash Brothers. That we're not getting, this is an ice cream level, this is a toy box level, I want a Zelda level, a bunch of Zelda levels, I want an F-Zero level, I want and there are F-Zero levels in Mario Kart 8, and they're fucking great. I want Nintendo Land.
What a wave race level.
I want Nintendo Land Mario Kart style, that's what I want. So hopefully, when they're done with this, new console's on its way. Let's see what you...
They said something, they'll do something. Didn't they have like a quote saying they're doing something that hasn't been seen before in the new Mario Kart?
No, that was all of the that was all of the rumors leading up to the announcement that they were going to announce a new Mario Kart, and then they announced this. So I think that was I'm not so sure.
There's not going to be a new one until the next console.
No, of course it won't. Not now.
And we're only halfway through, aren't we? So
there's no way we're halfway through. There's no way we're halfway. Do you know what kills me the most about the Switch at the moment? I'm thinking about Breath of the Wild 2. Like, I'm really looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2. I want it on a new console. I don't want it on the Switch.
Me too, massively. I don't want that.
I think it will be that the next Switch will be 100% backwards compatible, and games like Breath of the Wild will take advantage with increased.
It needs much better frame rate. It needs much better resolution.
I was reading earlier today, because Digital Foundry were talking about the chipset that they think is going to be, powering the new machine, and apparently it's going to make backwards compatibility more difficult. Like not so easy, which is, that bothers me quite a lot. That does.
That's a worry.
I think that would go down really badly if they did that.
Everyone's got such massive Switch libraries.
If they just you got to start again.
Having massive Switch libraries is not. It's not what Nintendo care about.
No.
Because they want to resell you a Mario game, a Mario Kart game.
They do, but they also want they've also got this massive eShop now with so many games on it. It's just surely they're going to want to still keep selling those as well, which they will obviously.
They want you to get the new Mario Kart, won't they?
Yeah, I know, but they make a lot of money, don't they? Off 30% cuts off all these other games they're selling as well.
Yeah. It'd be an
I'm fairly
interesting
sure we
one
said
to
that
see
when
what
they
they
had
do.
virtual console. Like, well, they would not get rid of virtual console. People spent money on those digital games. They'll definitely not get. Oh no, wait, they did do that.
I just think, when you go back and you play Breath of the Wild now on the Switch, you go, wow, this has not aged well. It just hasn't. The frame rate, the visually, it still has its moments where you go, wow, but to today's standards, it's so far behind that I just think
if you come off the back of like Genshin Impact on the PS5 or something, it is obviously going to look a bit blurry.
What I want is I want for the next Breath of the Wild to have that wow factor again, and I don't know how you capture that. How do you make it bigger and more, amazing, on that console? I don't know how you do that.
For me, it needs a wow moment, but I also don't want to turn that game on thinking, performance is a bit ropey.
Exactly.
I don't want that to be my first experience of that game, which I'm anticipating to be incredible. I don't want to be like, if it wasn't for that, I would happily wait longer if it needed it to play it on a new bit of hardware. But
you see, this is the other thing that I was going to bring up about with Cult of the Lamb is that by the fourth dungeon, it's gone to shit. Like in terms of like frame rate and everything on the Switch. Because that's the version I'm playing, and it's a bit of a mess. Like it's really stuttery and it keeps on.
That's what's
lagging
killing
and
me
stuff.
is that console now is failing to run some indie games.
Exactly.
Like as I said, you go back and you play the later levels of Neon White, and I thought, oh my god, this is really sluggish now.
Yeah, Cult of the Lamb's a great example, but this happens all the time now with games out on Switch. Whereas before, I would instantly buy it on Switch if it's on multiple platforms because I know I'll get more time out of it. I can play it on TV or handheld. But now every time a game comes out on Switch and multi-platform, I have to Google Switch performance for Cult. I did that for Cult of the Lamb. I was like, okay, what's the Switch performance? Is it actually rubbish? And now I have to do it for every game because I can't reliably believe that the Switch version won't be dodgy in some respects. So I miss the old days where you're instantly buying on Switch because you knew that would run adequately and it would be great in a handheld.
Definitely in my head, but I think sometimes it's not. Don't want to fall into the stupid developer lazy trap, but I think sometimes games could still be optimized a bit better for Switch. If you think that Hades, came out a year before it came out on the Xbox and PlayStation, and obviously it's way lower resolution than the PC version, but I don't think it drops a frame.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty solid on that console.
Yeah, which kind of suggests you can do it even with a lot going on screen and some pretty fancy graphics. So
that's the thing. I take the lower resolution as long as the frame rate and everything is solid and fine, and it's not like lagging all over the place, because that's the problem with Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about Wave Race. I know Wave Race is out now, isn't it? It came out last week for, was it expansion pack members? I haven't played it yet. I'm not sure.
I need to play that.
It's Wave Race.
But does it feel as good as it did?
It does. Yeah, it's still good.
It's still just obviously it has aged in the way it looks, but I still don't think a game has actually captured the feeling of being on a water. The surface of water any better than Wave Race 64.
Sean's going to be fuming at that as a massive fan of Sea of Thieves. They'll be fuming.
Okay. No, well, different kind of So a pirate ship compared to a jet ski is a very difficult thing to compare.
Yes. Right. Okay. Is that what we've been playing? Before we get onto questions, I would just like to give a massive shout out to a listener that got in touch this week. They make, I don't know what their specific name said, but they make framed games. And they pointed out that I mentioned recently that I always wanted growing up, at one point I was going to get a framed copy of Halo and put it up. And they said, well, I make them, and would you like a framed game? And I was like, absolutely. And they sent over a frame for my copy of Breath of the Wild, which I've got up on the wall now. And honestly, I tweeted it. Go and check out my Twitter account. There's a picture of it on there. It looks fucking amazing. I'm well happy with it. Joe, less so. That's not going up.
Joe's left me.
Joe has left me. Joe went, well, that's not going up. I said, well, it is. Because, look, I love Joe, but can we take down one of the signs that says, happy bricks, happy home, happy life, happy children? Can we get rid of one of those and put this up, please? I don't need another sign that says, when you enter my house, we feel love. or something like that. Just rip that off the wall.
Live,
Let me
laugh,
put up my
Zelda.
copy of the Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah, just even them out. Say, okay, well, you've got 15 of them. I'm now going to have,
I've only got a few
we'll
things
meet in
up
the
on the
middle.
walls, and Joe hates all of them. There's a couple of Millwall shirts in the boys' room. I've got a signed Queens of the Stone Age white label album that she's been trying to get to put in the garage for at least 10 years. And I've got the lyrics to Mardy Bum written up that we've got. Well, it sums me and Joe up, that song. So we've got that up. But yeah, the rest of it is all signs. But anyway, if you want to go and check out, I said I'd give him a shout out because sent it over. Fan of the show. It's frameagame.co.uk. So if you were ever interested in getting a game framed and up on the wall, honestly, I've not seen anyone do it better because it comes with like a backboard with some artwork on it. And I think some of them come with games. Others, you put your own game in. The one that I got, I just slipped my own game into this little holder thing on the front, and it looks absolutely brilliant. So that's frameagame.co.uk. Cheers for that because I'm well made up with it. Joe Lesso. So I just want to give a big shout out for that.
I apologise for forgetting, but what was that Xbox game where you had the massive tank controls?
What do you mean?
The physics.
Steel Battalion.
Yeah,
I want Steel Battalion with the controls on
with the
controlling.
Okay. Well, I'll have a word with Frame of Game and see if they'll do it for you. What would you get done, James? Well, if there was one game that you get framed, what would it be?
Detroit.
It would probably, yeah, definitely, yeah. No, it'd be a toss-up between two. It would either be... So the trouble is, it's aged really badly now, and the third game ruined it a bit, which was Shenmue. That would have been one of them.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, Shenmue, yeah.
It'd be that, it'd be Deus Ex, or it would be... The other one would be Yakuza 0, maybe, would be the other.
Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
Not Happy Street.
But Chen won't let
Crab.
me.
Mr. Crab, yeah.
Could you imagine Mr. Crab, but it's just got like an iPhone next to it?
Yeah, original iPhone, yeah. They call me Mr. Crab.
Leon, have you got a game that you...
That's so hard. Is it so? I suppose you want it to be something where you adore the art as much as the game.
Isn't it? Yeah. I really like Gears of War. I don't need to see Marcus Phoenix.
Brute Force. Brute Force.
The American cover of Eco, if you've ever seen that.
I do remember. I don't know. Maybe cover of Eco. It's terrible, isn't it? Which is so weird for us because that was the part of the appeal of the game for us because obviously it's a weird game. We didn't really know much about it, and you look at the artwork and you go, "Wow!" Like that box art for our version of Eco is incredible. Beautiful. And I remember it came in like it was a cardboard sleeve. And it had postcards on it, didn't it? Like with the artwork.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh man, that takes me back.
I was going to reach for my signed.
I thought we were talking about showing off earlier. And,
yeah. I was just about
to unbelievable.
Get some merch out.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think because it would probably be the although it wasn't the original coin-op art, it would be the late great Bob Wakelin, who used to do all those amazing Ocean software computer game covers back in the 80s, died a few years ago. He did the Rainbow Islands cover, and that's like one of, if not my all-time favorite game. So I'll go for Rainbow
James
Islands.
Farley has just sent me the Brute Force cover art. I don't remember it being like that. Is that?
I think
that's
this
not the
may be
PAL
the American one.
That's the American version. Okay, have a little look, see if you can find the PAL one, because I've told the story probably a million times on this podcast, but I still remember Blake Harrison of the In-Betweeners telling me, you've got to come over, there's this new game called Brute Force, it's better than Halo apparently. And I remember finishing it with my mate Dominic, him, and someone else, I can't remember who it was. I remember that. Okay, all right. Stop showing up. Leon's showing up.
I'm afraid your camera's cut out, Leon. We can't. It's crashing. It's crashing.
I remember sitting there and playing it for 3 hours and completing it and just going, "Are you fucking having a laugh? This is supposed to be better than Halo, is it? Terrible game." terrible game.
Yeah, I found
okay.
it.
Oh, right. Okay, let me have a look at the PAL version of the cover. Yeah, no, that's the version I remember. Yeah. God, America gets some really bad covers, don't they?
They did, famously so. They got the games earlier and they got them at full speed with full screen.
Yeah, I mean, you'd rather have that, wouldn't you, to be fair?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
fair
would.
enough.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's get to questions.
Yes, okay. So if you want to answer a question, go to tcgs.co/dear-tcgs. Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS Kobo e-readers, why are houses and RPGs so pathetic? Heroes usually begin their journey from their bedroom, but this place is often the most depressingly sparse piece of architecture in the entire game. Despite the amount of rupees Link gradually amasses, none of that wealth ever goes into getting better furniture or at least a chair with a cushion. Keep up the superb weekly output.
That's a good point. That is a good point. But hold on, wait. Heroes usually begin their journey in their bedroom.
Well,
I don't
like
think it's a usual thing, is it?
Well, I mean, like when you
yeah.
wake up after,
JRPG staple.
Yeah.
Really?
For sure.
I thought it was like the beach.
Yeah.
JRPGs, they
What
do that all the
RPGs
time.
you play?
You haven't played enough of them. It's
No,
always
there's
a
loads
bedroom.
of games where they wash up on a beach and go, "Oh, I don't remember."
There's a few of those.
I can name.
but
I
it's
can name a
more
bunch.
Houses.
13. Not to talk about RPG specifically. 13. Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Deathloop.
That one's all a
Deathloop.
dream, though.
It's not one where you wake up on a beach.
Fa-
I was talking about
famous
JRPG
JRPG.
specifically.
Yeah.
They're not though. I'm saying heroes usually begin their journey.
Oh,
So
sorry. Okay.
I
Fair,
think
fair.
it's when you wake up every day. It's often in the bedroom after resting to to repair your HP and whatnot. That's what Maria means. One would assume.
Maria has actually specifically put why are houses in RPGs so pathetic. I think because you're not supposed to spend more than 2 seconds in there where someone gives you a little drop of information at the start and then off you go on your little adventure. That's about
Your
it.
mum bids you farewell normally.
Yeah.
Or your,
What's
or your
the
dad,
best house?
Your one
What's
parent.
the best house in a video game?
Probably the mansion from Resident Evil.
no, you don't live
clear
there.
the zombies. Clear the zombies.
You don't live there. It's probably Gone Home, right?
What? Are you joking?
Gone
Come on.
Home.
As in, like the kind of non-ghost story game where you, why is it actually like a house, isn't it? What's
But like
special
it's
about
the
that?
most realistic feeling house in any video game.
No.
Go on.
Okay.
No. Please step aside, boys. I've got this. Go on.
Edith Finch is a nice house.
Edith
apart
Finch
from
is a
all the
brilliant
death.
house
Yeah,
due to
apart from
all
that
the like
swing.
little cubby holes and little secrets and
Yeah.
stuff. Go on, James. James, what have you
Come
got?
on, Rio's house in the first Shenmue. That was brilliant.
Absolutely not. I knew you were going to say that's rubbish.
Brilliant.
It's
Come on, you
rubbish.
walk in, you have to take your
It's about-
shoes off. You can
it's about
you
3
can look in
rooms.
all the little cupboards and everything.
Oh
It's
my
brilliant.
god, was it Shenmue 1 or 2 where there's a little platform in the living room and every time you
Yeah, it's the first
accidentally
one.
go to walk up it, you're treated to a cutscene of them taking his shoes off?
Yeah.
Was it Shenmue 2, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
no, it was the first one. It's the first
Oh
one.
god,
That,
so irritating. The amount of times I'd be walking along because it's tank controls, it'd be like, no, don't go up there. Oh god, there's a cutscene of him taking his shoes off. I've got to watch a cutscene of him putting his shoes
Just
back
some
on again.
manners, isn't it? Just some
Oh
manners.
god, that was so bad.
Anyway, I'd kill for a house like they have in JRPGs. The lovely rustic house with several rooms and a decent amount of floor space. Speaking as somebody who tries to exist in a rented flat in Brighton, where the rates are absolutely disgraceful. I would love an RPG
right.
house.
Just
If
move
you're
up
taking a
north.
house, you got to take the stuff around it as well.
No,
You got to take the fact that every time you leave your house, some prick comes up to you and goes, "Do this."
and
There's
there's
monsters everywhere. Oh, I can't find my apple. Can you find my apple for me? No, leave
Fair
me
trade.
alone. Well, you can just ignore me, but then you won't be able to, get any stronger. Or anything.
There's normally a nice little water wheel and a little river.
There
and
is
some woods
usually a
out the
nice
back
little
and
water wheel. With
church.
2 guards standing.
Yeah,
next to
you're
each other,
basically
saying you're not
recounting
allowed to
FF7.
come through
Are
it,
you
yeah.
recounting Final Fantasy 7 basically there. You mentioned the church,
Yeah,
the
or-
water wheel,
or Chrono
All that.
Trigger, or
Any other
Secret of
JRPG,
Mana,
yeah.
or
all the great.
yeah, loads of them.
Yep. And it is weird how I love the way that they sort of gate these areas off at the start of these games, where it's
You're not allowed to leave
yet
until you're banished,
Yeah.
and then you're not allowed
my
to go back
favorite.
in.
My favorite when games do that is when your control. It's like a third-person game, and you're walking around, you walk down an alley, and then they forcefully turn back round and go, "Nope, nothing down there yet." It's like,
Better turn back, boys.
I'm not quite sure I should be going this way, so they turn around and start walking back. It's like, okay, fine.
Looks like bad news down there, boys.
It was better in older games where they used to just go no, like that, and then just turn you around.
No. What about Yakuza though? Yakuza does it with a big fucking no entry sign that comes out of nowhere, doesn't it?
Right at the start,
Sometimes.
they do that. They gate off some areas.
Not that, mate. Okay, I guess.
Very realistic, actually. Very realistic. So,
well, no. To be fair,
if I can reference the chat, the Wiz Ireland has come up with a great one, which is might be too old for you kids, but the little computer people on Commodore 64. It was like an early Sims kind of game where the idea was it was called A House on a Disc. It was by early Activision, the real Activision, and it was by David Crane, and you booted this disc up and a house appeared, and then after a little while there was a knock at the door, and then a little dude moves in, and like it's from there's a load of procedurally generated behaviors and scripts and names and stuff like this, and anyway, it's very adorable. I like it.
Persona 5 had a good bedroom. There you go.
Okay. Next.
SMW, at the start of chapter 1 of Us Dusk Falls, there was a trigger warning for something that will occur. Due to this, I found myself playing differently, trying to figure out what would be, who would be affected, and if my choices could prevent or cause it. It spoiled the chapter a little for me. However, as someone who has had no personal experience with the thing being warned about, I don't think I could fully appreciate how helpful it could be for others. I was just wondering how you all felt when this occurred, and if you have any ideas for better ways to still provide trigger warnings for those who want them without potentially spoiling scenes for those who don't.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah, because it says something that's basically going to happen, and I appreciate there is a warning for people who could be, sensitive to these kinds of things. So I definitely appreciate that, but I wish I hadn't seen it.
It certainly didn't spoil it for me. I mean, obviously.
Well, yeah, because I'm like, okay, well, this thing's going to happen. I'm like, who's it going to happen to? Is it, when? It maybe spoils the wrong word, but I was like, that is going to happen now in this chapter.
I kind of forgot it. I forgot about it kind of by the time I started getting into the chapter.
I didn't forget about it, but I was surprised by what it showed me. I thought it was going to be something else. But I think, is it a case of where you boot up the game and it says, "Do you want trigger warnings?" Is that the way of doing it? But the problem is that the trigger warnings are so different for different people and different types, and
Yeah. I think there is something in settings to turn these scenes off completely. I know you can do it at that moment when the warning happens. So I appreciate them doing it. But me personally, I agree with SMW. I just kind of think, oh, okay, well, I didn't want to know that, but it's good. It's in there.
I suppose the answer is this. All right, what's more? What you got to weigh it up. What's more important? Giving people a heads up that they might see something that might trigger some horrible emotional experience, or you having something a little bit more slightly spoiled. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of go, actually,
thinking about it, yeah. So SMW's question was, how do you do trigger warnings for those who want them without potentially spoiling scenes for those who don't? I guess I would probably do something right at the start of the game with, here's the kind of content in this game. Do you want a warning for this kind of thing? Yes or no? And at the beginning, it's less to be like, hey, this is going to happen in this chapter. I can say yes, or don't care, or actually, that one particular subject I don't want to discuss or peer into. So maybe something at the beginning, but
maybe even like a set, like a tick box system with a set amount of things. Some of those things might not even be in the game, but just
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it for me. I'd rather it doesn't bother me that much. It certainly didn't bother me that much in this game. So I'm willing to sort of go. Do you know what? Some people need the heads up. I didn't really get to me. Did you play As Dusk Falls, Leon?
No, I haven't. This is the one with the sort of. It's a bit of
like a flip book animation style.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, isn't it? Alex79, who I know is a fan of both of our shows,
wow,
just requested that we Well, no, it's
I
weird,
wish
isn't it?
we'd
'Cause
known
they're-
that sooner.
'cause they're so
That
different.
Kind of changes everything.
He's
really.
lying about liking one of them.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Alex79
definitely that is
UK,
true.
we get it. We understand what you're saying. I'm winking if you're
Matt, are
watching the
you
video.
trying to wink? Do you know
I
how
can
to
wink.
wink?
Yeah, I was exaggerating the wink.
Okay.
He was surreptitiously.
I can wink, boy. I can
Anyway,
wink. I can wink.
he asked us to put As Dust Falls on our big old long list, so that has been done.
Cool.
So I might end up playing
Well,
it.
you've
at some
got 3
point.
guests right here, Leon. So
Yeah, have you all completed it?
We're
Yeah.
going to do a spoiler cast on it, I think. It's just finding the
Right.
time and energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I highly recommend it.
No, I put Matt Murray on the spreadsheet for
Thank
once as he's finished it.
Right, okay.
definitely finished it.
Should we move on?
Yep, Mr. Baconator. What video game / fake media food would you like to try the most? I know I can get hot dogs in real life, but I would love to try the ones from Final Fantasy VIII, so I can see why Zell was so mad for them. There's only one. There's
Food
only
in
one
Final
answer.
Fantasy 15 looked amazing. Didn't
Oh, I
it?
haven't played that.
Not
I
like
haven't-
I'm not into fruit, but the fruit in that Pikmin game.
Fucking hell, okay.
Oh yes, Pikmin
Pikmin
fruit.
I'm not
makes
into
it look like-
fruit.
Yes,
I
yes,
want it
yes,
all.
Yes.
I want that Pikmin fruit.
And they had brilliant names as well.
Banana, apple,
Scaly
orange,
custard
yeah.
was the name for avocado.
Cherry.
Cherry, yeah, look good.
plum.
James,
I want a penguin from James Pond 2.
why? Because they look bigger.
You can
They're
actually get
massive,
those.
yeah.
Oh,
Penguins are shit though, right?
Yeah, they're not that great.
What?
They were
It's,
good when we were kids, but they're really shit
yeah.
now.
What?
They-
What's? They're just
Tim-
penguins.
Wagon
Tim
wheels. I
Tams.
don't get wagon wheels.
No, they were always horrible. I
They
never
were, weren't they?
understood those. Yeah,
I never understood those. It was like, why?
Yeah.
Wow. It just tastes like salt,
your-
salted
Yeah.
wafer.
What? What's your beef with?
It's all
Love a little bit of
sticky
jam
and
in
just
them.
like
Salt.
horrible.
Yeah, if they were salty, the little wafer
They're
bits.
very melty.
Yeah,
as
they're
well, aren't
fucking
they?
rank.
I love a wagon wheel. It's been too long.
Look,
Actually.
I don't know. Look, we're getting shit in the chat, right? And I get that.
Chat's popping right now with
Well,
the. I don't
get-
like fruit. Comment.
Are you big enough that when you say stuff, you get it sent to you now? So, like, if we keep saying wagon wheels,
Not
enough,
when we're saying
you'll
it's
get,
shit.
like, a case.
I mean,
No, Matt was saying it.
all
before.
right,
Yeah,
Matt might get a
I
wagon wheel
bloody
out of
love
it, yeah.
them, Mr.
Sure.
Wagon Wheel.
But like I get the whole nostalgia and say, hey, don't slag it off. Like, go and have one tomorrow and tell me it's good. Because you won't be able to, because they're not as good. Maybe it's because back then they had way more sugar in them, so you could get away with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And now
now
according to
you're
you,
left
they've
there
got
with-
salt in them.
Yeah,
They've just changed it.
That's why we voted leave, so we can get all the
Finally.
chemicals and sugar
Finally.
back in
for
things, right?
sure. I like, for example, I think clubs would still be quite nice. Club biscuit. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
what were those gold?
Which
what about
ones,
the
though?
gold bars? Remember them?
Do you know what was
Gold
cool
bars
with
are still
those?
good. I had one
with the
recently, they're
clubs,
good.
right? Was when you get one which was like solid, just chocolate on
Yes.
accident.
Where they fucked
was-
it.
He was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I won
What a
this
win.
time."
What
It
a
was
win.
You could have just bought a Yorkie,
That
though,
is
at that
true.
point.
I won the club lottery.
Could you imagine a fucking chocolate bar had an advertising logo? It's not for girls. They literally had that.
Zelda did that as well, didn't they?
No, they
Nintendo.
didn't. Zelda did.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time, 1998. Whilst thou get the girl or play like
Oh
one.
wait, yeah, that's yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, that's embarrassing shit. But
More recently, they had that girls' club as well, like on as a YouTube channel during the Wii U era. That was really embarrassing and awful.
oh,
Yeah.
God. Okay, all right. Yorkie bars. We're talking about Yorkie bars. Fucking hell, what are we doing?
Don't get gold bars muddled up with gold bears. They're very different.
Yeah. Oh, what, the golden bears? What the
Gold bears. They're little
yeah,
chewy
man.
bears, aren't they?
They're the business. They are the business. Right. Okay. Next.
Yeah, last question from Deadbeat Punk. Salutations, TCGS cockinoids. I should probably Google that. That's pretty... Okay. The longest territorial battles known to humankind have genuinely been between neighbours in too close of quarters. Dogs relieving themselves in your garden, operatic domestic shouting matches, or accepting the dreaded Amazon package that they will come looking for at 3 a.m. Which got me wondering, imagine you moved into your dream abode. Congratulations, all those years of sweating down in the mines and growing parsnips have finally paid off, only to have the caveat of having a neighbour from Hades living right next door. Which fictional character from any form of media would be your own nightmare adjacent arsehole? Until next time, Deadbeat Punk.
Oh, I know this would be
Go on.
Duke Nukem. Can you imagine having him next door to you?
What, his party's going on?
Yeah, like parties, and him just being like,
Sounds
"Look
alright
how
to
great I am," all that. It would just be
hearing the
that sounds
lines
alright to
all
me.
night. Yeah.
That'd be alright. You always got a party to go to.
You want to go to misogynistic parties with Duke Nukem, Dave?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
why not?
ooh. Do you want to
Nickel means why
apologise
shouldn't-
now?
A nightmare neighbour. Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one, isn't it? What character has wound me up more than any other character? There's not many characters that I can pick
Trico.
out of. Trico,
That would be
oh, God.
annoying.
Yeah, never listening.
Massive
Yeah,
to
exactly.
turds.
Yeah, the garden would be a
This
bomb
fucking
site.
shit dog cat bird thing. Honestly,
I love you, giant catbird thing.
honestly,
Because there's no way that they would take the bins out for you. That they wouldn't be helping you out. No way. They wouldn't do shit like that.
no, they wouldn't know what's going on, and they just constantly poke their head through my fucking fence. Just stop doing that shit.
Well, I think they'll crush the fence. There would be no fence. So
there would be no fence. How about the character from Zombie Ate My Neighbours? You know, the dude with the 3D glasses. Just be constantly jumping over your fence using a trampoline. Get on, fucking get out. No.
Waluigi?
Waluigi? No, that's a laugh a minute, isn't it? Oh, come on. Waluigi next door. I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. I mean, he'd constantly, every time he's out in the garden, you'd see his head poking over the fence. Don't get me wrong, but imagine the shit he gets up to at the weekend.
Mr. Resetti, the
yeah,
mole.
Yeah,
I
that'd
saw
be a
someone say
bad
Tom Nook, and I thought Rossetti would be a good one. Yeah.
Rossetti, yeah, that would be a bad one for sure.
Oh, I know who
Go
I
on.
hate. That fucking. I
Whoa,
haven't sworn it.
Jesus
Somebody asked me
Christ,
to swear-
Leon! You promised.
Just realised somebody asked me to swear on your podcast, and I haven't done
Oh
it.
my God.
That fucking kid out of God of War.
What?
He was a decent
He
kid
was alright,
character.
wasn't he?
He's one of the few that
Nothing
isn't
wrong with
annoying as
Trials.
hell.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's one of the few that's
Don't like him.
decent.
Oh, you
Could
really
you
fucked
wouldn't
that
have
up, Leon.
chosen anybody
Don't like him.
like for anything, and you go, that doesn't make sense.
It's annoying.
about
He's
what
one of
about-
the very few good children characters. He's not annoying. He's got a good arc, and it makes sense.
Wasn't.
What about
Bad
Navi from Ocarina of Time?
Oh yeah.
Listen.
Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. What was the do you know Charlie started watching Ryan's World, James? He started watching
man
Ryan's World.
alive.
Could you imagine living next door to that?
Yeah.
Blue Lou says Trevor Phillips is a
That
reasonable
is a good
shout.
shout.
Isn't
Yeah,
it, for...
yeah. Trevor would be a bad neighbour, no doubt. Yeah, no. Honestly, I wake up in the morning and all I hear now is from the front room. Hi, Ryan.
I saw one of Joe's tweets about that, and I showed it to Chen, and she was like, "She's absolutely spot on with that."
Oh, I didn't.
She
I
is
haven't
the worst.
seen that. I need to check
She
that.
is. Yeah, it's just she makes your teeth go.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Hi,
Ryan.
Okay, I'm just gonna follow you around with a camera your whole life. That kid's got no.
There's going to be a lawsuit in the future with that.
Oh my god, there is, isn't there? There is. Fucking 50 million views on most of their videos. Right, are we done?
My answer would be the car from Sega Rally. Right, so shall we?
Which one?
Lancia Delta? Yeah. Delta.
He got a laugh out of giving that answer once, so that's going to be his default answer now for every question we get.
Better believe it, baby. It works every time.
Right, that's it. Matt, let's get to socials.
Yeah, there's going to be no streaming this week because Sean's on holiday and James, you're away as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
away.
0 streams this week. Just while on the subject of streaming, it's Monday as we record this, and if you're watching live, it's Monday for you. And tomorrow is Gamescom Opening Night Live. Now, typically we would do a talks over for this kind of thing, but I'm not sure if any of you have seen kind of the lineup that even Jeff Keighley himself is kind of promoting. It's like the most uninspiring lineup.
I'm not falling for Jeff Keighley's shit again.
Well, no, I mean, but normally he's the hype man. And this time, like, wow, okay, Sonic Frontiers, some new footage from a game with like, hang on, is this supposed to like sell us? Like, I kind of, we would normally do a talks over for these things all the time, but for me personally, it's just I don't see there's like a need to do it for this. Like, if you're wondering where, Opening Night Live talks over is, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
So there it is. So no streams, but you can still go to Amazon and thank you for everyone who's done it tonight. But go to Amazon, connect your Twitch account, and you get Amazon Prime Gaming. You get 1 free sub a month. Go to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TCGS or on the app and subscribe. Our Patreon is patreon.com/TCGS. The bonus show will be out in the next couple of weeks, and yeah, we'll be editing together this month's Le Tournoi into a video that you'll be able to watch if you're at the appropriate tier. TCGS.co is a website for links to our socials, our episodes, our gorgeous Discord, loads of amazing people over there, and our store, even to buy some TCGS merch.
Leon, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us about.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your website. Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah.
I want to hear it all, mate.
Just about your little podcast.
Cane and Rinse. That's CANEANDRINSE. I still have to spell it because we went for the opposite of a sensible title that people would remember and understand. caneandrinse.com. Also, all of our old podcasts are available on Spotify and all the usual podcasting place. Best thing to do if you're not familiar with it, I would say, is think of a game that you would like to hear some people discuss in some depth and at length, and see if we've done it and listen to that show first. And if you like that one, maybe pick some others out. It's nothing like this podcast. There's very, very little banter, no swearing, apart from in the first 100 episodes when we did have swearing.
I remember when I first went on the show and I was swearing, and I listened to it back, it was all cut out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, we stopped swearing after 100 for various reasons, not because we're prudes, but for reasons.
Yeah.
Bunch of just
up your own arse.
Oh, not the C word, Leon.
So.
Not the C. We don't say the C word on this show.
I just want to get it out there. I'm showing off. But yes, it's a deep dive podcast on individual video games or occasionally franchises and series. If you like these computer game show people, you can find some episodes with them on as well, such as Star Trek Bridge Crew with Farley. What have we had you on, Dave? We've had you on Left 4 Dead and that miserable one about the war.
Yeah,
some years ago.
I mean, go and have a look at your download figures. The ones that spike, they're the ones I'm on.
Yeah. No, I've noticed.
I was going to say, actually, the show that I wasn't on, Matt, someone messaged in and said, what word would you like removed from the English language? And my answer would have been either cane or rinse, just to fuck them over. Oh, we're going to do that.
We could rebrand.
Have you ever thought about rebrand? Is there because it is a pun on the game?
What are you trying to say?
It's a pun on the game that is.
No one knows or cares about.
Actually, should we call ourselves something else, or have you just gone along with it?
Yeah, I think it would be difficult now. After 10 years,
you could never do that. No. But I mean, should we try workshop a name at some point? We should do that.
The thing is, because when I thought of it, I thought it was quite good, quite clever. And then a couple of other people said, "Oh, that's quite good, quite clever." So we went with it. That's it. We didn't think, "Oh, that'll be SEO friendly," or
it's got to be SEO friendly, though, isn't it? Cane and rinse. That's.
I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's good in that it's not really like anything else other than the thing it's a pun on, but it's bad in that you wouldn't think, I know, I'll search for a deep dive gaming review podcast, and so. But yes,
we had the problem. I don't know if you noticed, Matt.
We went the opposite way.
But I don't know if you noticed. Well, you must have done. But when there was a period where if you Googled the computer game show, Go 8-Bit was coming up all the time because it was always the computer game based game show. Like it was like that was like overruling us. But I think we got through that now. Dara, Brown, Brian.
Yeah, they're dead. You're still
cancelled.
Going,
We're still about.
You won.
Yeah. Right. Thanks so much for joining us. Definitely go and check out the Cane and Rinse podcast. And we will catch you next week for more video game chit chat. Thanks for living it, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.